Market Series heroes forever. It's the 56th meeting between the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame and the Trojans of Southern California, live from the Coliseum in Los Angeles.
CBS Sports presents college football. Live from the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum in Los Angeles, California, it's the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame versus the USC Trojans. Today's game is sponsored by Chevrolet, who invite you to see, drive, and live today's Chevrolet. Mr. Goodwrench and General Motors Parts. And by GMAC, the financing people from General Motors.
It's a rivalry that began in 1926 and today. From the Los Angeles Coliseum, it's played for the 56th time, Notre Dame and USC. And while the Irish lead this series, USC has won 5 of the last 6, 11 of the last 14. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Bender. How does this game affect these two teams? While USC has won the conference title and they're headed to the Rose Bowl, they lost the city championship to UCLA last week. So they consider this a big, big game to get their momentum back for that New Year's Day date against Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. On the other hand, Notre Dame needs a win today. If they win, they'll head to the islands, to Hawaii, to play in the Aloha Bowl. And Pat Hayden, Notre Dame has not had a lot of success here. The last time they won here was 1966.
However, Gary, they do have more momentum coming into this game after that big win over Penn State last week. Momentum is so important in college football. USC had that 2 weeks ago after they beat Washington. They lost it, or they were stopped against UCLA in a poor performance last week. They need this game to regain that momentum for the Rose Bowl.
Pat, this has been a year of struggle for Jerry Faust. Many people are asking the question, are they making any progress? In the middle of this year, they lost 3 straight at home. That's the first time in 28 years. Now they've won 3 in a row. In fact, last week, a very impressive win, 44-7 over Penn State. They aren't enjoying that victory. When we saw Coach Faust on Tuesday, he was beleaguered.
Well, there's been so much pressure on him and that whole team all year, and today he has to win to get to a bowl game. I think he's beleaguered because he feels his team deserves a better fate. As he said, his seniors deserve a positive notch in Notre Dame football history.
We'll come back. We'll introduce you to the other member of our broadcast team, Steve Davis. The teams will be on the field. We'll develop the issues, and we'll return after this commercial break and a word from your local station. Gold helmets, the Golden Dome, the tradition of Notre Dame football. These young men hope to wake up the echoes of past glory. The Irish of Notre Dame. A man under pressure, Jerry Faust. A win today would give him the best regular season record in his 4 years at South Bend. A 3-game winning streak for the Irish. And now here come the Trojans of USC. Expected crowd 80,000 plus for this one. And Ted Toner, the Pac-10 Coach of the Year. Well, Pat, I think the big question for USC is which Tim Green are we going to see? The one at quarterback that led them to victory over Washington, or the one that threw 3 interceptions against UCLA?
Well, if it's the one we saw against UCLA, he may not play too long. His coaches have sat him down this week and said to Tim, he has to emotionally remove himself from the game, get started slowly. Now, Notre Dame knows he's an emotional quarterback, and they plan to come after him early. They want to blitz the linebackers, disrupt his rhythm.
USC is really concerned about tailback Alan Pinkett. He has 4 straight 100-yard games, and they think he's the best back they've faced all year.
Well, he's had a sensational year. He had a big game against Southern Cal last year. He is the key. SC feels that they can hold him under 100 yards, they will win. Now, that's easier said than done, but they plan to do something a little bit different, and that is use an 8-man front, sometimes substituting a linebacker for a defensive back. They want to force Steve Berline, the quarterback, to beat him.
Well, Alan Pinkett has stirred him up a little bit because of something he said a year ago after this outstanding rivalry. And to develop that further, let's go down to the field now. And another one of our broadcasting partner, Steve Davis.
Thank you, Gary. The USC Notre Dame series has always had a little bit of psychology in it. Newt Rockne was a fiery orator. Dan Devine's green jerseys. Alan Pinkett made a comment last year after they beat USC. He said that we could have beaten them in T-shirts. Well, that made its way to the papers, and it made it to the front of the scouting report for USC. It's also made its way to the front of the T-shirts that USC's defensive players are wearing. And also, to add a little bit of insult, on the big screen here in the Coliseum, they've had some of Pat Hayden's best games on the air to show them that they mean business today. USC Notre Dame, it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's go back to Gary.
Okay, Steve, 10 years ago today, it was a big win for Pat Hayden and the Trojans. The three tri-captains, along with another captain today, Pat Cusack, who was given that honor because of his outstanding special teams play. Well, can Tim Gray play under control? We'll know after we return. Period as we approach the kickoff of this game. 53 degrees. You can see the forecast is not good for showers.
Well, both teams really win running the football, so I'm not sure the rain is going to be a major factor.
Getting ready to kick off is Steve Jordan, the all-time field goal kicker of Southern California. He has 15. It's been outstanding for Ted Tollner. And back deep, Timmy Brown, 81, and Alonzo Jefferson, number 3. Last year, Notre Dame won at South Bend, 27-6, but they haven't won here since '66. This rivalry continues. The 56th meeting between these two intersectional teams. And Jordan will approach the football. It's going to be the freshman Brown. And Timmy Brown comes out to the 25-yard line. Notre Dame will set it up there. Marcus Cotton making the tackle. Let's set now offensively the Fighting Irish. Steve Berline coming off his best game ever, 276 yards passing. That went over Penn State. Mark Brooks, a power runner, a bruiser at fullback. Alan Pinkett, he had 189 yards last week. And Joe Howard, he's the basketball player as well as football player. And Tim Brown, outstanding athlete. Mark Navarro, a very courageous tight end, playing on a knee that's giving him some difficulty. Berline intended for Pinkett. And Pat, already the weather might be affecting the game as that one went right through his hands. The offensive line for Notre Dame is big, as is USC. Mike Perino is a 2-year starter for the Irish. Larry Williams, a preseason All-American, had a lot of injury problems. Mike Kelly also was a preseason All-American pick. Tim Scannell, well, he got the game ball last week for Penn State's game. And Ron Plants, starting in place of Tom Durger, who has an injury. And Berline, you can see the 17 interceptions. He wants to cut down on those. 2nd and 10 from the 25. It looks like it's starting to rain even harder. Brown in motion, pitch to Pinkett. He'll get a yard, and that's all. It'll be 3rd down and 9. Neil Hope, the man we talked about earlier, was over there to make the stop. Defensively now, they've carried him all year. Here's the Pac-10 Defensive Player of the Year, Dwayne Pickett. Brian Luft has played very well the last 2 weeks. Tony Colorado also an all-conference selection. Brent Moore playing with an injured neck. He has a pinched nerve. Jack Del Rio, All-American this week from the Walter Camp selection. And on a 3rd and 9, the Irish have it at the 26. Berline steps up. He's hit as he delivered the ball and is almost picked off by Pickett. Pickett claims he has it, but the officials say otherwise. 4th down.
Gary, USC's defensive game plan is to force Steve Berline to beat them throwing the football. Here it is a 3rd and 8 situation. They had 3 wide receivers in the game. He gets a little bit of pressure, is able to step up. But there's Dwayne Pickett, number 80. He has tremendous reach. He is 6'5", and that's one of the reasons he's been named the Pac-10 Defensive Player of the Year, because he has such tremendous. I just almost got hit by a pigeon up here in the booth.
Well, he remembers your days here at USC. Mike Barracola now will be punting for Notre Dame. He's going to get a nice roll inside the 35-yard line. It'll be down there. They'll mark the ball at the 32. USC has the ball for the first time after a 42-yard punt. And the man of a real focus today is Tim Green. How will he play? He has been up and down an emotional elevator. Kennedy Pola, he celebrated his birthday Thursday. Brett Crutcher will play. We were concerned he'd even see action today. And Timmy Ware, the deep threat. And Hank Norman been very consistent for this team. And Mark Boyer, an all Pac-10 academic selection. From the 32, Tim Green with his first snap. Cormier goes in motion. Here comes Crutcher. Crutcher to the 35-yard line. Rick DiBernardo and Mike Kovaleski make the stop. A gain of 3, 2nd and 7. The offensive line of USC, I don't think there's any better in college football. Fitzpatrick, vastly improved, an honorable mention, all Pac-10 pick. Jeff Riggle, he's got a chore ahead of him. He's got a black Mike Gann. Tom Cox, very quick at center. Tom Halleck, he's the vocal guy up front. And here's an all Pac-10 selection, Ken Rutgers. Ted Toner winning the selection this week of the Pac-10 Coach of the Year. Here is Crutcher on a 2nd down and 7. Advancing close to the 40-yard line. Kovaleski, the leading tackler for the Irish, there again on the stop. Let's talk about that Notre Dame defense. It's very young, 7 sophomores. Here's one of them. Robert Banks has outstanding physical ability. Mike Gann, he's their best defensive player. Mike Griffin, he's a street fighter at that nose guard spot. And Wally Klein, he's only 6'8". And Mike Golick has had some problems with the shoulder, but he's a fine linebacker. 3rd down 3. Jerry Faust, last year winning in South Bend. He's 1-2 against USC. Tim Green back on 3rd and 3, and he has a 1st down throw completed to Fred Crutcher to the 45-yard line, a gain of 5.
Gary, this is the USC offense that we saw versus Washington 2 weeks ago, and this is what Ted Toner wanted to do, was to get back to pound at you, throw short little high percentage passes to your backs and to your tight end. Again, last week against UCLA, USC came out and threw the ball downfield all over the place, were unsuccessful on 1st down. Today, we're going to see them pounding the football at them, and they're very good here in the 1st half, generally the 1st quarter against their opposition.
It'll give Green some confidence to complete that 1st pass. Cormier goes in motion, 1st down, just short of the 45. Here comes Crutcher again. The guy they call 4-yard Freddy went a lot further on that one. He went 8 yards. Mike Larkin made the stop, 2nd down and 2.
Well, it is a compliment when you say 4-yard Freddy, because that is the nature of this offense, this USC offense. It is not a big offense. It is a 4-yard offense. And here's Fred Crutcher turning 4 yards into 8 and 9. Now they're in a situation, Gary, 2nd and 2. This is the situation that USC can really beat opponents on.
Crutcher was 80% Thursday. He couldn't even walk Sunday and Monday with a groin pull. Shows you the courage of this young man, the junior. He's an all Pac-10 performer, over 1,000 yards for the year. Green back to throw. Overthrown, intended for Kennedy Pola, 37, the fullback. So they went for more than the 2 yards, and it brings up a 3rd down. Let's look now at the rest of the Fighting Irish defense. Mike Kovaleski, the sophomore, their leading tackler. Larkin, boy, they're glad to have him back. He's been out 6 weeks with a knee injury. Mike Haywood has 2 block kicks this year. Pat Vallich, he's always around the ball. Vastly improved from a year ago. And here's the enforcer, Joe Johnson. He'll come after you. And Hiawatha Francisco, he was a running back a year ago. 3rd and 2. And there's some problems with the exchange, and Notre Dame has the football. Mike Gann, 78, coming up with it for Notre Dame.
There was an exchange problem between Tom Cox, the center, and Tim Green, the center. It looks like the ball just never came up for Green. They were going to run their pitch play, but here's the kind of start that USC had last week against UCLA. Remember, those turnovers, those 5 turnovers last week really cost USC the game. The ball was never handled by Green there, and there's the Notre Dame defense to make a big turnover recovery.
Those 5 turnovers last week led to 16 points against USC. 1st down now. The Irish have it at their own 49-yard line. Here comes Mark Brooks, and there goes Mark Brooks the other direction. He might have gotten a yard, and that's all. Excellent reaction by Colorado. Colorado's played so well, number 92, and also Dwayne Bickett. Bickett is 6'5". He's 235 pounds. There's what we were talking about. 16 points last week, and then the other loss to LSU.
They're not the kind of team that can turn the ball over and come from behind, as we saw last week. USC is the type of team that has to hang in there with you and win in the 4th quarter.
However, the USC coaches feel they're shocked back into reality now. They've come back to earth after that big win against Washington. On a 2nd down and 9, here comes Pinkett. Pinkett short of the 35. It'll be a 1st down. Tim McDonald, number 6, made the stop. A 15-yard run by Alan Pinkett.
Alan Pinkett is so quick, and he's kind of small. He's only 5'8". Sometimes he's difficult to see, but there was a big hole there on the right side of the line, Larry Williams and Mike Perino, and he's very tough to bring down. Take a look at the middle of that USC defense. Tony Colorado, number 92. He's against 54 Scannell. Right there is a big block on him. He creeps through the hole. A big seam there for Alan Pinkett to jump through.
Kind of hides behind that offensive line. On a first down, Burline overthrown. Tyler defending on the play. Timmy Brown, 81, the intended receiver. That's an interesting point about Pinkett, Pat, is that he is so small, and that big offensive line, he uses that to advantage.
I really think that is an advantage. The linebackers have difficulty seeing behind that. We saw, was it Mark Harrison earlier in the year in the same situation from Wisconsin, hide behind his big offensive line. Very difficult to see him.
Second down, coming up, 10 yards to go. Live from the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum on a rainy day here in Southern California. Alan Pinkett with the football bounces to the 30-yard line. The gain of 6 yards. Jack Del Rio, the All-American. And Del Rio is hot. He is unhappy. He made All-American, Pat, but he didn't make the first team on the Pac-10 selection.
Well, I think because Dwayne Bickett has received so much attention this past year, and Neil Hope, the other linebacker, that has probably taken away from some of the consideration in the Pac-10. But it is kind of strange to make one an All-American team, and then you don't make it the Pac-10 team. The Pac-10 has an awful lot of good linebackers, as we have seen this year.
Well, a lot of good linebackers, not only in this conference. It's the year of the linebackers in the whole country. Third down now, 4 yards to go. Just short of the 30. No score, early going. Burline 0 for 3 in passing. On target this time to Brown. And Brown will have the first down to the 22, a pickup of 8. Tackled by Jerome Tyler. And Brown, they just can't say enough about him.
Well, he is their fastest receiver and very, very quick and very dangerous after he catches the ball. The key there, obviously, was very good protection for Burline, allowed him to find Timmy Brown, who did the smart thing and not tried to break the long run and picked up the first down. Watch the line play of this Notre Dame team. They want to get to Steve Burline and try to hurry some of his throws, but look at the excellent protection there by the offensive line of Notre Dame. That's great stuff.
On a first down from the 22, Pinkett inside the 20 to the 18-yard line. A gain of 4, 2nd and 6. Pinkett and Rex Moore, 35, a freshman redshirt, made the stop.
We saw a graphic a little earlier in the game how USC has been a big first quarter team, generally scored before their opponents in the first quarter. Here Notre Dame is threatening. Again, we've mentioned a couple of times this season how USC is not a very good catch-up team.
2nd down and 6. Pinkett coming off of those 4 straight 100-yard days, 189 yards last week against Penn State. Here he goes, and he stumbles this time. Check that. That's Brooks who stumbles.
Looks like he tripped right over Steve Burline's foot.
That's a loss of 2 on the play. Back to the 20-yard line. Ted Tollner, we've had the opportunity the last 3 weeks to visit with him. He's been very gracious, but he's very open, very honest about how he feels about his team, the emotion problems they had a week ago. And this week, he says, we have gone back to the business.
He said he's a much better head coach this year than he was last year. I guess you just grow into that job.
Third down now. 8 yards to go. Boy, it is really raining now, the hardest of the day. Give to Pinkett, and Pinkett will be stopped after a 2-yard pickup. Neil Hope was there, number 54. There is a penalty flag, however. Flag has been thrown. Very late with the flag. USC is indicating it's against Notre Dame, and it's going to be holding against the Irish.
Well, this is a tough call here. If you don't accept the penalty, it's 4th down. But if you accept it, you take away 10 more yards, and potentially, if you stop them, make a very long field goal attempt.
Well, the field goal kicking for Notre Dame and Jerry Faust has been excellent. John Carney's missed only 2. He's 15 of 17 this year, his longest from 47 yards away. And so USC thinking that's going to take the penalty. That'll move it out to the 29-yard line.
Holding, offense, still 3rd down.
It is a tough decision, though, isn't it? Whether you want to take the football or... There's Larry Thompson, the referee, and the crew that will work with him today. Notre Dame will have Milt Jackson and Timmy Brown as the wideouts on a 3rd and 17. Pinkett and Brooks in the backfield. Burline intercepted by Dave Perling. Perling, number 95, picked that one up, and the Trojans have it.
The second turnover here in the first quarter in bad weather conditions. Steve Berline is just trying to get his team back in field goal position by dumping the ball off to Mark Brooks, his fullback. But Dave Perlin read the play, read the screen, got his big paw. He's 6'5", got his big paw up in the air, deflected it, and then got a lucky break because the ball bounced straight up, and Perlin was able to make the interception right there.
Excuse me, Pat, he's playing because Brent Moore has that bad neck, and he comes in and makes a big play in the early going. Fred Crutcher on a first down run. Doesn't pick up anything. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
So an early coaching decision by Ted Tollner to accept that 10-yard penalty turns out to be a very good one at this stage of the game.
It's going to be 2nd down 10 from the 48.
Another thing with the rain coming down as hard as it is now, Gary, if you're going to throw the ball, sometimes it's better to throw it early before the field gets too sloppy.
And this field is very suspect at best. Ola and Crutcher in the backfield behind Tim Green. He gives to Crutcher. Crutcher dropped. Excellent play by Wally Klein, number 96, the sophomore at 6'8". We have an upset, we understand, in the Southwest Conference. For a report, here's Pat O'Brien.
That's right, Gary. Texas has just been upended by Baylor 24-10. That means that TCU in the Southwest Conference has the inside track to the Cotton Bowl, but they are losing 14-0 in the second quarter. If A&M holds on, Houston would have the inside track. It's all tied up there at Texas Tech. Let's go back to Gary and Pat.
Okay, Pat, thank you. It's 3rd down 11 here now for USC. 6.5 minutes left in the first quarter. No score. Green scrambling. He'll make it to the 47 of Notre Dame. Mike Kovaleski over there to make the stop. A pickup of 6 on the play. Also Mike Larkin assisting on the tackle. So it's going to be 4th down. And coming into punt, well, it could be one of 2 guys, either Troy Richardson or Paul Green. It's going to be Richardson, number 99. It's almost a flip of the coin by Ted Tollner as to which guy he's going to try to survive.
Well, notice, too, that Notre Dame has 2 punt returners back. Troy Richardson, on the past, has been able to bounce the ball, get a big roll, and did that in the Washington game a couple of weeks ago. Richardson
Hits this one not very high. He gets the roll, which is characteristic of his punting. And it's going to bounce just short of the 10. Notre Dame will have it. No score at the 5:38 mark. Interestingly enough, the man that had his best passing day ever in this series played on a similar type weather day, Joe Theismann, and look what he did.
I was in the stands on that day, and boy, he tore him up.
And then Paul McDonald had the best day for USC in 1979, 311 yards as they bested the Irish.
It was amazing really watching Joe Theismann that day pass for over 500 yards in really a driving rainstorm like this today.
I don't know if it's possible, but I think it's raining even harder right now. From the 11-yard line, Notre Dame will have it. Brooks and Pinkett in the backfield. Here comes Alan Pinkett out to the 14. And that'll be Keith Biggers, 17, making the stop. Pat, you made a point a while ago on the fair catch. How many times have we watched Troy Richardson get a punt, bounce, and get additional yardage?
You're right, and Notre Dame has to know that from watching films of USC special teams. So Notre Dame's really going to have to move their two safeties up and make sure they fair catch that ball and save perhaps 10 or 12-yard roll.
Gain of 3 on that last play. Second down, 7. Brooks, the fullback, out to the 19-yard line. Let's go down now to Steve Davis. Are you all right down there, Steve, with all that rain?
I don't know. Notre Dame came out a little early for this weather. They came out on Wednesday, and when they came out, Jerry Faust gave them this little packet. It says the game is on, and it's a series of articles from a pictorial of Notre Dame football from 1964. That's when most of these players were born, and just tries to wake up the echoes one more time. You guys are great up there to have that nice, comfortable, warm booth. Let's go back upstairs.
I think Pat brought this weather from Miami. Out to the 20-yard line on a 3rd and 2. It's going to be close to the first down. That was Alan Pinkett. Luft and Hope jammed it up, and it looks as though they are a little bit short.
Daryl Hopper, the defensive back from USC, just went limping out of the game. But we haven't seen much of that 8-man front yet here in the first quarter that we expected to see. Artie Gigantino, the defensive coordinator for USC, said we must stop Alan Pinkett. We're going to use an 8-man front to do so, but we haven't seen it yet.
Daryl Hopper, as you mentioned, goes off the field. Dwayne Jackson has replaced him, and there is the indication they are short. It'll be 4th down. And Vericola will be punting in less than ideal weather conditions. to be inside his own 10-yard line. They do not feel, USC does not feel they could block a punt against Notre Dame. They're concerned that the fact that the Irish fake so many.
They have blocked USC has blocked 2 punts this year, but this is not the right part of the field in the circumstances to even attempt one.
Back deep is Tommy Haynes. Usually Hopper is back there, but Hopper, as you mentioned, is hurt. So Haynes will go back and field his punt. Vericola gets very good hang time. He's been averaging over 40 yards a punt. Oh, big rush. As I said, they're not going to block one. Well, it goes that strategy out the window.
Right on again, didn't we?
Look at the roll he's getting, though. Colorado almost blocked it. The ball rolls dead at the 32, a 47-yard punt. No score from the Coliseum.
Did not rough the punter, Vericola.
But he did block 2 punts earlier this year. After a very fine roll, sets it up at the 32 of the Trojans. Tim Green to Crutcher. And Crutcher out to the 39-yard line. Robert Banks, 56, made the stop. Gain of 7 will be 2nd down and 3. And next Saturday, one of the outstanding traditions in college football, Army against Navy from Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. This has been a good year for the academies. Army, Navy, as well as Air Force.
Boy, Army rolled up 633 yards of offense in one game this year, and Navy, boy, they played Notre Dame tough a few weeks ago.
Scared them. It had to be a field goal that beat them in the last seconds. 2nd and 3, 1st down run. Kennedy Pola, very courageous player for this USC team. He's playing with some bad legs.
See Fred Crutcher running off the field now. He is a man who was limping just a moment ago after a carry. We talked about Kennedy Pola, number 37, the fullback. He is their change of pace. What USC wants out of their fullback position, it's probably 40 or 50 yards in the game. It's a surprise move. It gives their tailback a rest. And Pola's the kind of strong physical back that can give you those 40 and 50 yards during the course of a game.
He's had surgery on both knees. He's had problems with cramps, but he comes back to answer the bell every week. There's a catch by Polo, who had 2 grabs last week. And that will be a 1st down inside the 45-yard line. 16-yard pickup. An update on South Carolina. Here is Pat O'Brien.
All right, Gary, South Carolina came back from a 21-3 deficit with this Mike Holt touchdown. Now, the Gamecocks missed the first point after a flag. They got a second chance. They kicked it again to win and hand Clemson their first home loss since 1970. Let's go back out to Southern Cal.
So South Carolina finishes 10-1. 1st down, just inside the 45-yard line. Green to Ryan Knight, the freshman. Ryan Knight inside the 40. He had 100 yards last week on 25 carries. Kovaleski and Banks making the stop. A gain of 6, 2nd and 4.
Gary, you asked at the top of the show what Tim Green and what USC offense we're going to see this week. Well, the answer so far in the first quarter is the offense we saw 2 weeks ago. They're running the ball on 1st down. They're picking up 4, 5, 6 yards on 1st down. And really, that is the personality of this football team. That's what they need to be successful today and in the Rose Bowl.
A different team with Ryan Knight. He doesn't hit in there as quickly as Crutcher. He might give you the big play. On his 2nd down, he has a 1st down to the 30. Kovaleski eventually catches up with him, a 9-yard pickup, and he looked very quick on that play. Maybe the most heralded high school player of a year ago. 501 yards in one game he rushed. He's from Riverside, California.
Here is USC's fabled pitch play. Their sweep, their student body right, and Ryan Knight has followed a lot of tailbacks. The history of the USC tailbacks who have run this play very well. They're expecting great things from Ryan Knight. There he followed an excellent block by James Fitzpatrick, his offensive tackle, and found a way to pick up a 1st down.
6 first downs for USC, all on the ground. Here's Ryan Knight. Boyd's the first man, but still dropped for a loss. Joe Johnson, 27 on the tackle. Student body right. That was a play that Pat Hayden executed so very well.
Well, the real key block here is the block of the tight end on the defensive end. Now, if he can hold that block there, it allows the fullback now to come around and make the next most important block on the strong safety. Then we saw Ryan Knight just take the pitch from Tim Green. He's going to read the block of fullback Kennedy Pola on the strong safety. He can break either outside or inside at the I formation.
You never threw an interception on that play, did you?
I pitched with the best of them, Gary.
2nd down, 11. Green in some difficulty. Tried to hit Cormier, the tight end, and it'll bring up a 3rd down and 11. Cormier was a 2nd-team All Pac-10 pick. He is 6'6", playing that tight end spot.
Joe Cormier, watch him in motion, number 85. USC puts him in motion an awful lot. He is their second tight end. Again, they're just trying to gain an advantage, try to change the support coverage by Notre Dame. Good coverage there by number 1, Mike Haywood. The ball is a little inside. It's a slippery ball, couldn't hang on to it.
Crutcher has come back into the football game on a 3rd and 11.
Important here for Tim Green not to take a sack or make a bad play because they're in range for Steve Jordan to kick a field goal.
Green back with time. And intended for Timmy Ware. That was Haywood. Mike Haywood, number 1, defending on the play. And it brings up a 4th down.
Very nice coverage by Mike Haywood and a pretty good throw by Tim Green. Remember, you're working with a slick ball as we watch Timmy Ware, number 19, come in motion. He's going to drive down and needs 11 yards to pick up a 1st down. Haywood has a nice little cushion but is able to drive on the ball. And because the ball is so wet, Tim Green can't get a lot of oomph on it. And so it floated on him a little bit. And now they're going to try a field goal.
From 47 yards away is Steve Jordan. All-time leading field goal kicker, and that ball wobbles. It was partially blocked. It goes into the end zone. And Steve Jordan, with the bad weather conditions and the rush, not able to hit it from 47 yards away. It looked like his footing was very treacherous.
Well, you're right, and he has to be concerned about this weather. The ball is very, very heavy. There's the Notre Dame rush. They felt they could block an extra point or field goal there today. It was tipped, and we've got an even ball game.
0-0 our score from the Coliseum.
Philadelphia against St. Louis and San Francisco against New Orleans are other regional games tomorrow on CBS Sports.
Well, it's not sunny California. And even though we have the blimp up above, I don't think you can see Pat Hayden's house from here. But we have a traditional rivalry unfolding, and Pat, field position, mistakes, turnovers could be big as this weather continues to be a problem. And this is the guy that got a piece of that last field goal attempt.
And block extra points and field goals like that. Mike Griffin, he's 6'5", and got a big paw up there to knock the ball down.
Chris Smith is now in at fullback. The single set running back behind Steve Berline. From the 30, Notre Dame gives off to Chris Smith, the senior out of Cincinnati. Colorado and Hope make the tackle. A gain of 2, 2nd down and 8. Saw the single back alignment, Pat. That's something Notre Dame has gone to later in the year and worked very effectively.
Well, Ron Hudson, their offensive coordinator, believes it makes you defend the entire width of the field, and it's nice if you can get particularly Pinkett back there. We didn't see him there this time, but where he can defend both run outside on either side of the field, and you have 4 quick receivers on the line of scrimmage.
2nd down and 8. Again, it's Smith behind Berline. Brown split out along with Milt Jackson. And a whistle just about the time the ball was ready to be snapped. We have a flag on the play. We have a story about wig-wagging. To develop that, let's go to Steve Davis.
Wig-wagging, that's what you do. We signal the plays out on the field. I'm sure Pat Hayden did that. Notre Dame has quit that system because they felt like people were picking up their plays. And so the system they're doing is sending plays in when they're on offense. Pat Hayden, did you get plays waggled to you, or did you just know what to call?
Hey, Steve, we only had one play. That was student body right. I didn't have to worry about it.
We'll develop that a little further in just a moment. Let's wait on this call here on the penalty. He's offside against Notre Dame and Bavaro, the tight end. What I started to say is Notre Dame thought for a while that maybe one of the guys in the chain gang or somebody on the sideline maybe was picking those up and relaying them to the opponent. Got to be careful. After the penalty, Berline giving off to Alan Pinkett on a 2nd down and 14. Neil Hope and Brian Luff made the stop, and we have come through this first quarter of play, and no one is on the scoreboard. USC against Notre Dame. We'll return after this commercial break and a word from your local
CBS.
And in the background, Tim Green and Pat, they steadied him. They were able to get him emotionally stabilized in that first quarter.
They brought Tim Green along slowly. It's a 0-0 football game. This is the type of game that Tim Green plays best in. He's 6-1 as a starter, and this is his type of ball game. As
we start the second quarter, 3rd and 15 for Notre Dame. They have the ball at their own 26-yard line. Smith and Pinkett in the backfield. Berline complete and dropped by Pinkett. Again, you can see how the weather affecting the play. Hope and Beckett over there defending. The first quarter, statistically, not a lot of yardage.
Well, you mentioned the weather, and that is really playing its role. Look at the yards passing. Neither team is throwing the ball very effectively. Not many rushing yards. This game really is going to come down to turnovers, which each team has won. Perhaps a block punt, a field goal toward the end of the game, and penalties. Those are the things that are going to make the difference today.
Fourth down, and Vericola will punt from the 11-yard line. Tommy Haynes goes back, and looks like they might be coming after him. Let's see. He hit it extremely well under the conditions, and from the 31 is Tommy Haynes. And he gets a yard, and that's all. Good reaction that time by Brian Beamer, who was a tight end down on the special teams. A 43-yard punt. Well, not a lot of games today, but some very important games, and BYU looks like they're going to finish unbeaten, and this is a shocker.
Well, that really is a surprise.
And as you saw, South Carolina coming from behind in Death Valley, no less.
I remember that one yesterday, too.
Oh.
Outstanding college quarterbacks. That game was a whole lot of fun.
One of the all-time games.
Well, I'll tell you what. Doug Flutie's something else, isn't he?
He wrote the script, didn't he? We have a penalty, by the way. Looks like we have a personal foul. Let's see. USC is backing up. It's going against them.
Well, these are one of the things that are going to be so important today. Penalties like this, and particularly under these circumstances. USC, I think it was a personal foul. It's a big penalty.
Well, isn't it ironic? Here we are today. Let's listen first here. We have something that might be interesting to you, especially the people back in South Bend.
Dead ball, personal foul, receiver. First down.
Okay, the people in South Bend must be laughing because in South Bend, Indiana, the weather is better than it is here in Los Angeles.
Sunny and 61 in South Bend. The travel agents will love that.
We were there earlier the week. It was snowing in South Bend. What happened?
Bad weather follows you around, Gary.
No, you brought it from Miami. Remember that.
First and 25 for USC. That penalty really did hurt.
Here's Crutcher trying to get some of it back out to the 21-yard line. Gain of 3. And a long ways to go now on second down coming up. Cedric Figueroa, number 48, making the stop. This offensive line, Pat, USC through the years has had the mystique about the offensive line, and one thing that Notre Dame said about him, so when they hit you, they knock you down and they like to gore you.
Well, generally they overwhelm their opponents, but Notre Dame has so much size in the defensive front, they can't do that to Notre Dame.
At least they have a jet. Here's Green and some problems. He gets rid of the ball. Very fine catch by Kennedy Pola, and Pola scrambles out to the 26-yard line. Pola, who had his birthday Thursday, and the reason it is so significant, his first name is Kennedy, and he was named after the president who was assassinated the day he was born.
We saw Timmy Green clapping his hands. That's the kind of composure they want from Tim Green, and Tim Green really does make a very good play here because excellent pursuit there by Wally Klein, number 96. He avoided the sack and allowed Kennedy Pola to catch the ball, and although it wasn't a big gain, he did avoid a 10-yard sack.
3rd and 18 now. Gain of 4 in that last play. From the 25-yard line, and Notre Dame moving, and they may have been drawn off. They were looking at Mark Boyer and Ken Rutgers, the right side of that offensive line.
Okay, this is some of the problem with Timmy Green there. It looked like one of the offensive linemen turned to Tim and pointed at Tim Green and said that was your snap count.
They are the maturity of this team. Ted Tollner says that is offside against USC, that they have kind of stabilized Green. They'll talk to him, and they are the spokesman for this club.
But 2 penalties here by USC has backed them up into the shadow of their goal line. It's going to force them, unless they can come up with a big play here, force the punt and give Notre Dame excellent field position. Again, in these circumstances, field position penalties are going to be the story of the day.
Now it's 23 yards to go on 3rd down. They have to make it all the way out to the 43. And now they have the ball at the 20. Crutcher and Pola in the backfield. Green setting up. He's on target to Hank Norman. He's way short of the first down, but he got some of it back out to the 30-yard line. Ballage making the tackle along with Steve Lawrence. All right, let's go back down to Steve Davis.
Thank you, Gary. The busiest guy on the field today has got to be the ball boy on both sides of the field. They are allowed 6 footballs by the official rules. If the official merits the conditions are horrible like they are today, they can have additional football. But the driest football is soaking wet, so the conditions are really deteriorating. Gary?
Thank you, Steve. I'd like to have the laundry business, wouldn't you? Here is the punt by Troy Richardson. It's going to get another bounce, and that's a patented bounce. Troy Richardson has that down to an art form. All the way inside the 30 to the 28-yard line. 42-yard punt, 15 yards on the roll. Richardson clinic on how to get a roll on a punt. 15 yards the last time. Pat, you just can't reinforce enough how they got to get somebody up to fair catch.
Well, Notre Dame, as I said, have watched the punter Richardson the past 2 weeks. They know he gets a lot of roll on the ball, so they're going to have to move their punt return men up so they can fair catch the ball.
From the 28-yard line, the Irish have the ball. No score. The weather getting worse and worse as Chris Smith carries the ball. Gain of 2. Colorado making the stop. I suppose, Pat, as this game gets worse weather-wise, you get more and more conservative.
Play selection on first down. You see Notre Dame has run the ball five times and passed it twice. To USC, again, that's the kind of game they wanted to play. Run the ball, establish run, pick up 4 and 5 yards. And again, the weather conditions warrant running the ball on first down.
2nd and 8. Here's Pinkett. Pinkett for a gain of 1. Dwayne Pickett, number 80, over to make the tackle. Alan Pinkett had 122 yards against USC last year and threw a pass for 59 yards. He has 30 yards on 9 carries. There's Rick Lance, the defensive line coach for Notre Dame, a former Georgia Tech man. Last week, Mike Gann, their outstanding defensive tackle, gave him the game ball for that win over Penn State. 3rd down. 7 yards to go, and Berline has it go off the hands of Joe Howard, number 24.
It's a shame the weather conditions are like this, because this pass is more weather conditions really than defense or a poor throw by Steve Berline, because he gets excellent protection. He has Joe Howard wide open, but the ball just takes off on him, and that's going to happen in these circumstances when you have a wet, heavy ball.
Berline is 1 of 7 now for 8 yards. He's thrown the 1 interception. And Baracola will punt. Tommy Haynes goes back for the Trojans. Very fine punt. Excellent punt. At the 25-yard line is Haynes. Out to the 33. USC will set it up there. A 44-yard punt. A 9-yard return. No score. 11:05 left in the first half. Earlier we were showing you the outstanding passing performances in this series. Let's look now at the rushing jobs. Look at Vegas Ferguson, 185 yards and 79, 2 touchdowns, as the Irish lost to USC in that one. And then Charlie White, what a day he had, 261 yards for the Trojans. 44 carries in that game. And USC won that one.
Charlie White's a little bit like Fred Crutcher, kind of an aggressive 4- and 5-yard ball carrier.
Tim Green, and you can see the rain has not stopped. USC coming away the better for 13 yards on the last exchange of punts. Green, pass intended to the 50-yard line by Hank Norman. Pat Ballage, 40, defending on the play. Norman just shaking his head, and you know that weather's got to affect him.
There's a good look at Pat Ballage. We saw him last year when Notre Dame played Miami, and Bernie Kosar picked on Pat Ballage, but he spent his whole offseason really getting himself mentally prepared and physically prepared, and people have not been able to pick on Ballage this year. He's had a very good year with 3 interceptions for the Fighting Irish.
Well, he came back 12 pounds lighter and rededicated himself out of Pueblo, Colorado. That was the first time in this game that USC has thrown on first down. Trying to break some tendencies here. Cormier in motion. Green up to Crutcher. Crutcher to the 39-yard line. 6-yard pickup. Crutcher last week became the 16th ball carrier in USC history to go over 1,000 yards in a year.
Good block by the USC offensive line, particularly on the linebackers. You can see number 36, Ron Weisenhofer, get blocked right there. 2 guys. See Tom Cox, number 62, blocking first, and then another Trojan line to really keep him from coming over and trying to help on the tackle.
3rd down, 4 yards to go. Cormier goes in motion once again. Green with some real pressure, delivers on target. Mark Boyer, the tight end, caught it, and that'll be a first down at the 46, a 15-yard completion.
Well, apparently, Gary, the talk that his coach had with Tim Green has done him some good, because he does look so much more composed here today. Here he gets a pretty good rush by the Fighting Irish, steps outside, and is able to drill the ball to Boyer. And particularly, that's a very difficult throw in this kind of conditions. But Tim Green looked much better, much more calm today than he did a week ago.
Well, they put the clamps on him. He stirred up UCLA a week ago. He said he was going to whoop them. And so this year and this week they said, you're not going to say a word, and he hasn't. On a first down, catch the 15-yard pickup. We have a penalty flag, and that'll blow that play dead. I want to apologize for some of the problems we're having here with the pictures, as our cameramen working so hard just to stay dry right now as the weather continues to deteriorate. Well, Timmy Green, we talked about how effective he has been, and Mark Larkin talked about how they want to stop him today in this traditional rivalry.
I think Green doesn't like to get hit too much, especially in passing situations. So we're going to try to do a little dogging and get our linebackers up there to hit him, just as he's throwing the ball and getting his face and causing some frustration. And maybe we're hoping he'll throw the ball away a little bit.
Thus far, that has not affected number 11. The penalty now makes it 1st and 15, illegal procedure. Paul Green, 45 now in, replacing Cormier at tight end. There he is, and he dropped it. Green, a freshman out of Fresno, has played fullback, he's played tight end, and he has been a punter for the Trojans, and that time could not hang on.
Here's a good look at Tony Colorado and number 95, Dave Perlin. He's the man who made the interception, batted the ball down. Colorado, we mentioned, made the All-Pac-10 team as well as the academic All-Pac-10 team.
Penn, I'm interested in all the years you played here. Did you have this kind of weather?
Not when I was in college, but I was with the pros, with the Rams. We played the Minnesota Vikings in a playoff game here, and it was, believe it or not, it was about twice this bad.
That is hard to believe. 2nd down, 15. Green again in motion. Crutcher across the 50 to the 47, and the helmet goes flying through the air. Well, the Cougars of BYU, the only unbeaten team in college football. Let's get an update from Pat O'Brien.
All right, Gary, Robbie Bosco gets his 33rd touchdown pass now. He finds wide open Mark Bellini and puts daylight into this game. It's 24-10 now. And by the way, Air Parsegan will take a look at the BYU passing machine at halftime. Let's go back out to Gary and Pat.
This man knows all about BYU. He was the offensive coordinator there, had Jim McMahon as his quarterback. It's going to be 3rd down and 12 now for USC from the 48-yard line of Notre Dame. No score, 9:24 left in the first half. Green stepping up, complete to Norman. Hank Norman inside the 30, first down to the 29. Iwata Francisco makes the tackle, a 19-yard pickup.
Day like this is a big play. You're not going to see too many long runs and long throws because of the circumstances. But watch Hank Norman, number 83, right there in the middle of your screen. It's a zone defense by Notre Dame. They're just going to drop back, keep everything in front of them. The ball is well thrown over the middle. Norman's a big target. He's 6'4", allows him to go up and use his body on a wet ball and make a big catch.
First down just inside the 30. Here's Ryan Knight weaving his way inside the 25 to the 21. Joe Johnson, Mike Haywood combined on the stop. A gain of 8 on the play. 2nd and 2. Let's go back to Steve Davis.
The weather conditions are really getting worse as the game goes on. And John Carney, the Notre Dame kicker, is trying to do anything he can to keep his feet as dry as possible. There are the towels on his feet. It is horrible down here, guys, and the field's not getting any better. No, you can have it.
This turf has been suspect anyway. They've had all kinds of problems with it, and it's tearing up with the weather like it is. 2nd down and 2. Cormier back in the ball game in motion. Pitch to Ryan Knight, and Knight has the first down. He's to the 18-yard line. Robert Banks made the tackle. Timmy Green now goes sprinting over to get a new towel. He's keeping himself dry. yell something over the coaches, and he'll return to the huddle.
I'm not sure a towel is going to do it, Gary. But you mentioned the turf, and here is an interesting part of the field right now. If USC were to have to attempt a field goal from this part of the field, that's where the field is the worst. It's the sandiest out there. It's important for USC to, if they're going to kick a field goal and they don't get the ball into the end zone, to gain a few more yards to give Steve Jordan a little better field position.
They're almost playing on sand entirely between the hash marks. We'll talk about why this field is such bad condition. Here's Green giving off to Ryan Knight, and he's going to lose a couple. Loss of a yard. What happened to this turf was the closing ceremonies at the Olympics tore it up. Then they elected to seed rather than sod, and after the NFL started playing here early, the grass never did take hold, and it's been a losing battle ever since.
Seed rather than sod. Explain that one to me. Seed rather than sod.
Well, you pour the little seed on the field. I'm an old farmer. Or you take these big chunks of grass and you plant it.
Thank you. There's the look at the. Is that sod on there? Or is that seed?
You guys that grow up on the beach. I don't know. Second down, 12 yards to go. Fournier in motion. Jimmy Green on target. Pola to the 5. Pola to the 3. First and goal. 17-yard completion, and he threw a bullet.
A nice game plan by Ted Tollner and Norval Turner, their offensive coordinator. Kennedy Pola, number 37, the fullback. Now, he has not really been featured much in the passing game. We caught a couple of passes last week that were successful, so they wanted to incorporate him more in the passing attack. He's got very good hands for a fullback. There he made his, his second or third catch today, brought them and put USC down inside the 5-yard line.
Ted Tollner says he has courage. He's the leader by example, and they've gone to him in the passing route. And we have right now a timeout by USC. 6:52 left in the first half. First and goal for the Trojans. First and goal for the Trojans from the 3-yard line. 6 minutes, 52 seconds left in this scoreless game in the first half. It continues to rain. The towels very evident as they try to keep this football dry. And on this particular drive, Tim Green has done very well. He's 3 of 4 for 51 yards. The 11th play of this drive, starting from the 33 of USC. Ryan Knight. Touchdown. With his 5th touchdown of the year. The Trojans with a 6-0 lead. Steve Jordan, the point after, coming up. 67-yard drive that time by USC. Jordan adds the point after.
When you play against Notre Dame and you're a freshman, that's a big thrill in itself, Gary. But when you score your first touchdown against Notre Dame, it's also a big thrill. Here's Ryan Knight, the freshman, Southern Cal. He follows his block by his fullback, Kennedy Pola. Good eyes and vision, kind of fights his way down to about the half-yard line, then bullies his way into the end zone. Watch number 37, Kennedy Pola. He's had a lot to do with this drive. We saw him catch a couple of passes. Now watch him put a block right there on the defensive back that allows Ryan Knight to slip into the end zone. We've got a 7-0 ball game, Southern Cal.
And Ryan Knight, you mentioned how excited he's got to be playing in the series as a freshman and scoring that touchdown.
It really is a thrill. It's a tremendous rivalry. It really means something when you play well against Notre Dame.
Jordan will kick off. Brown and Jefferson back deep. 6:47 left in this first half. Going to be way short. Coming up on the fly is Timmy Brown. And the freshman from Dallas will get it out close to the 25-yard line. Well, today at 6 o'clock Eastern, officially they'll announce the bowls. And here's what you'll have on CBS. From El Paso, the Sun Bowl on Saturday, December 22nd. That'll be followed by the Peach Bowl on New Year's Eve. And then from the Cotton Bowl, the 49th Classic from Dallas, Big D. And don't you think maybe Doug Flutie and BC will be there?
There's a reasonably good chance that Doug Flutie will be there.
The Haas James Brock will have a heart attack if he isn't. Here is Berline throwing the ball. I'm not sure to whom or to what player, because it looked like it might have been deflected. Brooks, the intended receiver, and Berline now, Pat, is 1 of 8 for the game.
Well, you saw, we talked about USC's defensive game plan was to have Steve Berline beat them. They wanted to take away Alan Pinkett, keep him from gaining 100 yards. Steve Berline is off to a slow start. A lot of it, I believe, is really the weather conditions, because I think USC has underestimated Steve Berline.
Well, we have seen great improvement in watching films. You can see thus far Berline off to a shaky start, but last week he had 267 yards passing.
Green's gotten off to that smooth start that we said it was so important for him.
Here's Berline. That'll be his second completion. Milt Jackson on the receiving end, and he struggles close to the first down. Dwayne Jackson playing in place of the injured Darrell Hopper over to make the tackle. Let's see if they got the first down. He is out to the 34-yard line.
Very nice composure there by Steve Berline. He was trying to find his tight end Bavaro first, and then came off of him into his secondary receiver, Jackson.
It is a first down. The officials working under some trying conditions, too. They were trying to see the far sideline to see if they had to measure. They did not, and it's a first down at the 34. That completion by Berline, his second now out of 9 offerings. He has Howard and Brown split out. On the play action, over the middle, Bavaro, the tight end, first down to the 46-yard line. Pickup of 20 yards on the play.
It was the same play they ran earlier. Remember, I mentioned Berline was trying to hit Bavaro on the play before. He's going to slip right by number Dwayne Bickett, number 80. Right there. There's Bavaro, 82, and that's Berline's first read. Now, if he is not open, then he's going to throw the ball out to Milt Jackson like he did a play earlier. This time, again, Berline makes a very nice read, gets the ball to Bavaro, who's been really their best receiver thus far this year.
31 catches for him, and the water's starting to stand on the field now in between the hash marks. Berline in trouble. That's the first sack of the game. Brian Luft, 90, over the top of him.
Notre Dame's game plan here in these kind of circumstances is trying to throw the ball short, because it's pretty tough to get the ball downfield. We saw them hit the tight end, and then we saw Milt Jackson. He's trying to get the ball out to Howard that time, but it was well covered. You saw Luft come in from behind to make the sack.
Second down, 11, a loss of a yard. See, the last 4 games, the biggest reason is Pinkett has really come on. He was, I think, his highest game was 76 yards rushing the first 6 games. There's a play action fake by Berline, and he threw it too low. Intended for Bavaro. Bavaro is a courageous man. He injured his knee severely. Many people thought he wouldn't even be back. He was back in a matter of days and playing very well.
Ron Hudson, their offensive coordinator, says that he's really been our most valuable player on offense this year, because he's so important to their attack, both as a receiver and a blocker, because they run the same type of running plays that Southern Cal does, where they run the pitch play and their blast play, and the tight ends block are very, very critical.
Bavaro coming out of it. They think Bavaro's the best blocking tight end at Notre Dame since Dave Casper. Third down and 11 as Jackson comes in for Bavaro. Notre Dame 1 of 6 now on third down. Berline, pressure from behind. Milt Jackson to the 40, 35, to the 20, 15, and out of bounds at the 10. Dwayne Jackson made the tackle. 37 yards on the play.
Notre Dame receivers are very good after they catch the ball. We mentioned about Timmy Brown. Now you're going to see Milt Jackson. But the interesting thing is here, Milt Jackson is going to pick up a terrific block by Alan Pinkett, number 20. There's Pinkett right there in the middle of the screen. Now watch the block that Pinkett gets Jackson right there. It allows Jackson to get to the outside, pick up the first down. That's good teamwork. Pinkett can beat you in a lot of different ways. We talked about the punishment that quarterbacks take. There's Jack Del Rio, number 52, hitting Berline after he threw the ball.
A line of scrimmage just outside the 10-yard line after that 37-yard completion. Shoveled forward to Timmy Brown. Brown with the speed to the 5, and he's in for the touchdown, his first. forward pass, 11 yards, Furline to Brown. You're going to hear a lot about Timmy Brown in the next 4 years. Carney to attempt the point after to tie it up. He does. It's all even. 5:07 to go in this first half.
Really a sensational call by Notre Dame because they're going to take advantage of Timmy Brown's ability. Watch 54 Neil Hope get blocked there by 35 Brooks. It's a little shovel pass. He's got tremendous speed and gets to the outside. We talked about Ryan Knight scoring his first touchdown, how important it was for him. Now we look at Timmy Brown, another freshman, the freshman from Notre Dame, who they hope will score many more touchdowns against Southern Cal. But it makes you think about, Paul Seymour and Jack Snow, some of the great receivers that Notre Dame has had. They think Timmy Brown can be better than all of them.
Furline, 11-yard touchdown pass, but Pat, on that drive, he was 4 of 5 for 78, kind of what Green had just done previous to that.
Like a Bernie Kosar and Doug Flutie.
7-all. And obviously, the sun is not shining here in sunny Southern California.
They fit for ducks.
Beautiful day yesterday, if you want to know.
Had a nice time in Miami, thank you.
Yeah. Tell you what, from coast to coast, you've had it follow you, haven't you?
You think Doug Flutie has an angel on his shoulder or what?
That was a Hollywood script written for the Miami BC game. Carney will kick off now. 5:07 left to go in this first half. 2 back-to-back drives, one by USC, now one by Notre Dame. After really kind of just a field position battle up to that point. Carney, kind of a knuckleball effect, and back there in the end zone, and he's going to get on it. That's Albert Watts, number 22. It's the impetus of the ball that makes the difference on a play like this, if you're wondering why he didn't have to bring it out. But if you touch it, it doesn't really matter. It's the impetus.
You're right, and Albert Watts did the smart thing. After he went right through his legs, he wouldn't make a very good shortstop, would he? But it did touch him and went in the end zone. The ball. We're going to take a look. I said it went right between his legs. There he is. He plays shortstop for the Dodgers in the offseason. There he is, goes in the end zone, and then he puts his knee down, which is a smart play there.
I tell you what, he won't be playing shortstop for the Trojans. From the 20-yard line now, Todd Steele has come in at fullback, number 21. He's been sidelined the last 2 weeks with a bad ankle. Here comes Crutcher. And Crutcher, a gain of 3. It'll be 2nd and 7. Well, tomorrow, a doubleheader on CBS. Eagles will try to play the spoiler when they meet the St. Louis Cardinals. That's always a good game, and the Cardinals have got to win if they want to stay in the hunt for a playoff berth. And then on the feature doubleheader, the 49ers put their 5-game winning streak on the line against the Saints. The Saints pulled out a big one Monday night. These and other regional games. Be sure now to check those in your local area.
Hey, they want you to come over.
Did you have any turkey left over?
Are you kidding with my appetite?
You and La Savita put it away, I'm sure. 2nd down now, and 6 yards to go. Steele carrying the ball. Did the ball get loose?
It did get loose.
We mentioned Steele hasn't played, and that could affect your timing. Wally Klein, 96, was there, but it's still the Trojans' ball. It'll be 3rd down and a yard to go. Troy Wilson has now come in at cornerback, replacing Mike Haywood for the Irish. They were really weak depth-wise at fullback with this guy Steele out of the lineup. Actually had only Polo that could play the fullback spot.
Used their backup punter, Paul Green, at fullback for a while last week.
3rd and 1 for Green and company. Here is Crutcher. 1st down and more. Well, you never know that Crutcher was doubtful for this game. That's a 7-yard pickup. That's really a characteristic run of number 49.
And a characteristic call of Southern Cal. It's the pitch play into the boundary, the short side of the field, where he picks up a nice block from Tom Halleck, his strong guard, and followed Steele, his fullback, for the 1st down.
You know, we're talking about Crutcher, Pat, the fact that he's set so many standards for himself. 16th to go over 1,000 yards. He's 8th in USC rushing, and 4 of those guys are Heisman Trophy winners ahead of him.
I think the more amazing thing is 10 guys behind him were All-Americans.
You can't play that position, I don't think, if you aren't an All-American. Green scrambling out, complete to Mark Boyer, and Boyer slides to a very close to the 1st down. Looks like he's going to be a yard short. It'll be a 9-yard pickup on the play.
Both teams are doing a very good job of throwing the ball on first down, and they're doing a good job because they're throwing high percentage passes. Here you're going to see Tim Green just dump the ball to Mark Boyer, his tight end. The other wide receiver, Hank Norman, had cleared out an area for him and allowed Boyer just to come underneath him. And watch Ken Ruckers, number 77, top of your screen, do a little blocking there on number 96, Wally Klein, that allowed Green to get to the outside and make the throw.
Crutcher on a 2nd down and a yard picks up the first down to the 49-yard line. Mike Larkin, 42, making the stop. Neil Hope, the senior, he has the Rose Bowl to look ahead to. But he remembers all too well that loss last year in South Bend when the Irish came out in those green jerseys.
His last game against Notre Dame, his last game here in the Coliseum, very big moment for him.
The underrated one of those guys at that linebacking spot. Here comes Crutcher on a first down across the 50. Fumble, the ball is loose. It's been picked up by DiBernardo, number 43 of Notre Dame. Rick DiBernardo, the junior from California, from Garden Grove. 2nd turnover by USC.
USC had 5 turnovers last week, which was the difference in the ball game today. Under these circumstances, the tailback is just going to have to hang on to the ball a little bit more. You can see Fred Crutcher, number 49, come into the screen. A very good hit there by Joe Johnson, number 27. The ball popped up. There's Rick DiBernardo, number 43, with a host of people in front of him. A big play by the Irish defense.
That sets it up at the 44. Berline wasting no time. Bavaro checked that. Ricky Gray, 88, the tight end, has a first down catch at the 26 and 18-yard pickup.
A nice call by the Fighting Irish there. They come right back after a turnover, come up with a big play to their tight end, their backup tight end, Ricky Gray, number 88. Again, stretch the defense with the formation. They lined their tight end up out of the flanker position way out in the field. He's a mismatch because he's so much larger than the defensive back for Southern Cal.
Gray out at DeMatha High School in the Washington, D.C. area. Straight up the middle, Alan Pinkett. Pinkett has another first down. This one at the 14. McDonald and Tyler combining on the tackle. 12-yard pickup on the play.
USC really had the momentum here in the first quarter, but right now Notre Dame, the momentum is in their quarter. Watch the momentum and the power of Alan Pinkett, number 20, as he bursts through the tackle of number 80, Dwayne Bickett. He's got those big, strong legs where he can run through a lot of arm tackles. It's one of his real keys to his running style.
First down inside the 15. Pinkett again behind that line to the 5. Pinkett to the 3. It'll be a first and goal for Notre Dame. 11-yard pickup on the play. Tyler made the tackle.
I'm surprised at USC's defense. Remember, Artie Gigantino, the defensive coordinator, said he was going to play a lot of 8-man fronts against Pickett. And watch Neil Hope, number 54, as he kind of weaves his way through traffic. Mark Brooks, number 35, makes another fine block. The Notre Dame fullbacks, Gary, really have done an outstanding job, not only today, but really all season, of blocking opponents and giving Alan Pinkett some room to run.
Talking about Brooks and Chris Smith. First and goal now. In motion goes Smith. Give to Pinkett. Touchdown. Pinkett, who's been breaking record after record at Notre Dame, just broke another one. He broke the record of Red Salmon, 250 points. He played in 1900 to 1903, and that touchdown moved him ahead of Red Salmon. And in this handled snap, Baracola tries to salvage it. Who's got it? USC.
Well, that could be a very big extra point there, or missed extra point.
Never did get the ball down. The snap. Let's see if we can pick up whether it was a bad snap or whether he just couldn't hang on to the football.
The ball was just not handled by the holder there. That's Mike Baracola, the punter. The ball comes right out. There's John Carney, the kicker. and he gives you a little Garo Yepremian shot. Throws the ball up. And I'll tell you, this is all you can do, though, is put the ball in the end zone and just hope something good's going to happen. Let's take a look at the touchdown run there a moment ago by Alan Pinkett. A tremendous surge, but really, remember this drive as we watch Pinkett was set up by the couple of big Pinkett runs, the big turnover by the Notre Dame defense, the interception by DiBernardo. Watch the power of Alan Pinkett. A small back, but got tremendous power in his legs. Gets some nice blocks there by Larry Williams, number 75. Pinkett slips in right in behind him.
42 touchdowns for Alan Pinkett.
He's got another year left, too, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. And if they continue on here, he'll have another game left.
Last week against UCLA, remember USC had all those turnovers in the opposition. UCLA turned those into 16 points. Well, we saw Notre Dame right now turn a turnover into a touchdown, 6 points.
Steve Erline has played well after going 1 for 8. Then he started to turn things around. He now for the game is 6 of 14, 104 yards. A beleaguered man who needs this win to continue on to the Aloha Bowl. If he'd win today, it would be the most wins he's ever posted in the regular season of play.
They played much better this year in November, his team has.
Boy, they were disastrous in the 2 previous years, not winning at all in the month of November, and they're trying to go 3-0 this year. Carney kicking off, fielded short, and down there. All kinds of difficulty. Greg Cowett, number 46, is the guy who eventually came up with it. We're talking about Jerry Faust and the difficulty he has had. And look at the close games he's been involved in. 7 points or less. But they've won some games this year. Remember, they survived a field goal against Missouri. They beat Navy with a field goal with seconds left.
This team is healthy now, healthier than it's been all season long, and that was reflected in the big win over Penn State last week. There is a penalty flag on the field. That's what Coach Faust is a little upset about.
Dead ball, personal foul, kicking team, first down.
That really changes the field position. Instead of being clear inside the 20, brings it out now to the 29-yard line. That's the second personal foul we've had in this game. 1:27 left in the first half. That's Steele, 21, and Crutcher behind Tim Green. 13-7. Notre Dame with the lead. Crutcher straight ahead. Moves that pile out to the 34. Well, this is quite a rivalry here, but next week, another one. Army, Navy. 85th time. The long gray line.
Perhaps the best game in 2 decades between the academies. It's going to be fun.
Lindsey Nelson will be doing that game with you, Pat. And speaking of Lindsey, at halftime, he's going to talk about some great games. What, the 1946 Army-Navy game?
It's a prelude to next week's game.
Had a great goal line stand in that game. I'm sure you remember it well.
Mr. Inside Outside, I remember that.
2nd and 5. Green on the scramble. Throws it back. It's complete. Hank Norman comes up with a catch.
Should call a timeout. He should call a timeout.
12-yard completion, a first down. USC has 2 timeouts left. And right now they're replacing the ball.
That's right. It was a first down, so he does not need to call the timeout. There's 33 seconds remain here. Now the clock is rolling.
Now they're going to, I believe, call timeout. Here is the second timeout by USC. Well, we're going to leave this cold, wet, damp day and go to some sunny days on the 2 campuses.
Longest is what, 53 this year, but these weather conditions, and remember that field conditions are so sandy as well and sloppy.
Ware and Norman split out. 30 seconds left in this first half. Green, it's wobbling and incomplete. Haywood defending on the play. Mike Haywood defending on Hank Norman.
Take an isolated look at Hank Norman. Watch how difficult it is to cut on this field in this rain. Now, he's near the boundary where it's not quite as sloppy on the outside. Pretty good defense again by Mike Haywood, number 1. We've seen him make 2 or 3 very nice defensive plays. There's just another one by Mike Haywood, the junior.
That ball was hanging up in the air, but in all fairness to Green, he had tremendous pressure in his face. Looked like he had to throw it over the on-rushing lineman. With 25 seconds, it's 2nd down 10. And Intended for Cormier. That was Kovaleski defending on the play. Let's join Steve Davis. Are you still dry down there?
No, I'm not dry at all. Steve Bertline's had a little bit more experience than Tim Green. He's played in the bad weather this year with rain 4 different times, and he's also dunked the ball several times in practice to prepare for this kind of weather. And you've got to think with this kind of weather, Southern Cal guys are not accustomed to it. Tim Green's having a problem. Looks like throwing the ball.
What I want to know is Oklahoma guys used to this?
No.
21 seconds left now. 3rd down, 10. Green scrambling out of there. Needs to get out of bounds. And did he make it? Oh, the official gets knocked down. Joe Johnson, we have a penalty flag thrown. 11 seconds showing on the clock. He's short of the first down by some 3 to 4 yards.
Is that roughing the official?
Green tried to dive out of there, and let's sort this one out. Another personal foul.
Oh my. I'll tell you what, that is a big, big play. It's going to give him 15 yards and perhaps give Steve Jordan, their kicker, an opportunity. Here, Tim Green, again, we talked about how he's an excitable quarterback. Well, here he uses his head. He shows some composure in getting the ball out of downs. He puts a few little moves on there, fakes out nobody. And number 1, Mike Haywood, came in a little bit late, and that's what the personal foul call was on. Watch Haywood, number 1, who's made some fine defensive plays here today. But he's going to come in late here. You can't really tell from that angle.
Well, that is 2 of those on this drive. Remember, they started this whole series with a 15-yard personal foul. Tim Green a little shake and bake there on that play.
USC has 1 timeout remaining.
They tried a field goal from here. It'd be about 50 yards away, and that's going to be short. 8 seconds left now. Norman, the intended receiver.
Boy, he had Hank Norman wide open, but Timmy Green threw this ball low. And generally, he does throw the ball low. And if you're a quarterback, that's not a bad thing to do because the ball's not going to go off receivers' hands. And in this kind of weather, it's not going to sail on you, get intercepted. However, he did have Hank Norman open there that would have put them in a position for an easy field goal.
Well, they're going to try one more play and then possibly bring Jordan in. It would be an awfully long kick under these conditions. Green, sideline. Oh, what's that? Picked off almost by Francisco, and he might have gone all the way. Now they will go for the field goal.
The Notre Dame defense knows that Timmy Green has a clock problem, and any pass he throws, he's going to throw to the outside. Now watch Francisco, number 33, read Tim Green the whole way. That's an excellent ball reaction by Francisco. Read the quarterback's eyes, knew he was going to throw the ball to the outside. Had the ball been thrown poorly, it would have been picked off for a score.
This will be a 51-yard attempt with that time remaining. He's kicked one 53 yards this year. And it is no good. 51 yards away, and we have come to the end of this first half of play. Kicking into the wind, wet conditions, and Notre Dame at halftime leads it 13-7. We'll return after this commercial break and a word from your local station.
We're going to take a look at the first Southern Cal score. That was freshman Ryan Knight, number 26. The old pitch play by Southern Cal, followed a nice block by his fullback Kennedy Pola, kind of inched his way into the end zone there. We weren't sure how much Fred Crutcher was going to play, but he has played well, and as has Ryan Knight.
Ryan Knight has 2 100-yard games to his credit this year and scoring his 5th touchdown. And there's another freshman who scored the first touchdown ever for himself, and that's Timmy Brown.
Well, you're right. Freshmen are just being fun, being part of this game, but scoring touchdowns is even more fun. Timmy Brown.
Break and a word from your local station.
We're going to take a look at the first Southern Cal score. That was freshman Ryan Knight, number 26. The old pitch play by Southern Cal, followed a nice block by his fullback Kennedy Pola, kind of inched his way into the end zone there. We weren't sure how much Fred Crutcher was going to play, but he has played well, and as has Ryan Knight.
Ryan Knight has 2 100-yard games to his credit this year and scoring his 5th touchdown. And there's another freshman who scored the first touchdown ever for himself, and that's Timmy Brown.
Well, you're right. Freshmen are just being fun. Being part of this game, but scoring touchdowns is even more fun. Timmy Brown caught a little shovel pass here from Steve Berline, an excellent play call, but Neil Hope, number 54, was blocked by Mark Brooks, number 35. It allowed Timmy Brown to take the ball right there and then use that tremendous speed he has to get to the outside into the corner of the end zone.
He has 4.3 speed in the 40 to give you an idea how fast he can run. Well, then it comes down to the fact that Alan Pinkett, at the start of this game, we said would be a factor. And we thought maybe USC would jump into an 8-man front to stop him.
And we haven't really seen much of that from USC, which is surprising under the circumstances. They felt they had to hold him under 100 yards. He has 56 there, so he's well on his way to getting 100 yards. He's had a couple of nice touchdown runs. Here you're going to see him run off the left side here. Picks up a nice block by his fullback again, Brooks, and inches his way into the end zone, and that puts Notre Dame again in the lead.
13-7, and now this play coming up, as you look at this again, this is Pinkett's touchdown, set up the play that could be very, very big before it's all over, and that was when they went for the point after and all kinds of problems.
Well, you mentioned the weather at the top of the second half here, and this is precisely what happened. You see, that's the punter there who's trying to catch the snap. It bounces out, and we said, here's the Garo Upremium shot. He throws the ball up and over, hoping something good to happen. It was knocked down, and that 1 point could play a large role in the second half.
What adjustments do you expect now in the second half?
Well, I think what's going to happen here, if you're going to choose to throw the ball, and you're going to have to throw it some, you have to throw the out
first half.
Well, the key again for USC is 2 turnovers, and their other 2 losses, and their only 2 losses this year, turnovers have been a major factor. And the quarterback comparisons, too. Both of these quarterbacks, actually, Gary, have thrown the ball very well under the circumstances, under the weather conditions.
Well, they started out slowly, but came on strong.
Well, Steve Berline started 1 of 8, but he finished 5 of 6. And there you saw his total yards, 6 of 14. And Timmy Green's had some nice throws as well.
We have a man shaken up. It's Mike Haywood for Notre Dame. He was the man who made the tackle on Tanner at the 30-yard line. They went helmet to helmet on that play. There he is. He's a former wide receiver, moved to a defensive back. Here we go from the 30-yard line. Pola, Crutcher in the backfield. Cormier goes in motion. Here comes Crutcher, and Crutcher goes nowhere. The 30-yard line hit down in a hurry, and that's Mike Gann, who they think will be drafted on the first round this year by the NFL.
Gary, defensively in this type of ball game, you can begin to clamp down your defense. You know a quarterback generally is not going to be able to beat you with some deep passes. And take a look at the Notre Dame defense clamping down on the first play of the second half. They're going to play a little bit tougher on the line of scrimmage. There's Mike Gann, who's had an outstanding year, 10 sacks, and he's had 8 tackles for losses. That's his 9th. But you can play a little bit more tougher on the run.
Second down 10 from the 30-yard line. Mishandled snap. The ball is loose, and Notre Dame has recovered. 3 turnovers against USC. That's Wally Klein. Wally Klein with the fumble recovery.
And the second time, Tim Green has had exchange problems with the center, Tom Cox. Under these kind of circumstances, when it's this wet, a quarterback really has to stay underneath the center just a little bit longer to make sure he secures the snap from center. But that's twice he's had problems with that.
Last week, USC with 5 turnovers, already with 3. Very alertly, Klein got on it. Brooks, Pinkett in the backfield, the line of scrimmage, the 30-yard line. Alan Pinkett with 56 yards in the first half. Adds to that total to the 25. Biggers made the stop, a pickup of 4. It'll be second down and 6. Pinkett, there's Klein who recovered the fumble. Pinkett, we asked the coaches what they thought was his best asset, and they said he has great character. Wally Klein, by the way, his cousin is Joe Klein, who played on the Olympic basketball team, playing at Arkansas. Sam Ono has now come in at a linebacking spot. Berline wants to throw, and he had to get rid of that one. And that ball is backwards. They need to get on it.
That's exactly right. It was a lateral.
That ball was a live ball. It was anybody's football. Brian Luft was the guy that hit Berline. Let's reconstruct it.
Steve Berline is just trying to make a nice little safe throw under circumstances. We saw him hit his tight end before. Now he's got a secondary receiver, but the ball is thrown behind him. And there you can see it. It is a backward pass is the official name for it, but the ball is live. Pinkett reacted late to the ball. did kick it out, and there was a big loss there by the Fighting Irish.
That's a loss of 12. You can see Tommy Haynes on the sideline trying to yell to get his teammates over there. Here's Berline, gives to Pinkett. Pinkett trying to get to the 30. He's there and then dropped at the 28-yard line. Tim McDonald, number 6, the strong safety, and Dwayne Pickett over to make the tackle. Still going to be 8 yards to go.
Give Alan Pinkett some credit here because he is still showing outstanding speed. He's a plotter as well in this kind of field conditions. He gets to the outside, breaks a couple of tackles, and finally brought down, but really put his team in a position to attempt at least a field goal.
4th down, 8 yards to go. Kearney will attempt one from 45 yards out. The ball right down into that sand and water. Viracola to hold. And the kick is good. He got it.
Well, I want to tell you, that's a terrific concentration by John Kearney because Viracola mishandled the snap again, Gary. Tremendous concentration by Kearney. He's been hot. See, he had to back up a little bit because the ball was mishandled by Viracola, the punter, the holder there. But Kearney waited just an extra second, put the ball through the uprights, and that's the excitement of college football.
And it's 16-7 in favor of Notre Dame.
LSU, their other loss, they gave up 17 points after turnovers.
Coming up on the fly is Randy Tanner again. Tanner is to the 20 and driven backwards. That is Hiawatha Francisco, number 33, who led that charge defensively. And so now Tim Green has to concern himself with getting the snap. Pat, you talked about staying under the center, but what else can you do to combat these weather conditions?
Well, you need to talk to your center a little bit. You also can use his towels as much as possible. Not only put them on your center, but put them on your guards and tackles as well to try to keep your hands dry. You can change your own towels that all quarterbacks carry. But the biggest thing I think you have to, every quarterback has to really just stay underneath the center just a little bit longer than he normally would.
Little turnover leading to 3 points, so try it again. Just across the 20-yard line, here comes Crutcher, and he may get a yard, and that's all. Mike Gann made the stop, and Gann now starting to play up to that capability. They think that Gann, USC thinks that Gann is as good as Ron Holmes was for Washington. They're in the same category.
Mike, he's concerned about Mike Gann. He's concerned about his offense. Remember, at the very top of the show, we talked about momentum. He wants to have momentum going into his Rose Bowl practices. Even if his team plays well today, they'll still have some momentum. 2nd down, 9 now for the Trojans. Pola, Crutcher in the backfield. Crutcher to the 25, 26. Gann is there again. Gann is 6'5". He weighs 260. It'll be 3rd down now, 4 for the Trojans. You can see, though, how Notre Dame's defense has adjusted and played a little bit tighter. Even the defensive backs are up a little bit tighter because they don't feel under these circumstances Timmy Green can beat them deep on a long throw.
The Trojans have not lost here in the Coliseum against Notre Dame since 1966, 18 years ago. And right now they trail 16-7. 3rd and 4. Green on target. Norman with the catch. That'll be a 1st down. Norman made the catch at the 37-yard line.
This is a very fine throw by Tim Green and a very good catch by Norman. Remember we said in the second half, at halftime, Gary, that you're going to run some cuts, run out cuts off the hash mark where you have a little bit of better footing there. It's a little bit better. There's a little bit more grass on the outside, and that's just what Hank Norman did. Timmy Green got away from the rush, picked up another nice block by Kennedy Pola, and Hank Norman broke off the best part of the field and made a big catch.
Mike Haywood's come back in defensively for Notre Dame. A 10-yard completion on the play. And another mishandled snap, and I don't know who has this one. Let's wait. Notre Dame says they have it. Waiting for the official ruling. They're indicating the Irish have it. 4 turnovers now.
We heard Steve Davis a little bit earlier talking about how Steve Berline practices with wet footballs, taking the exchange from center. Here, that is just a wet football. There's nothing Tim Green can do there other than keep his hands closer together and get his body a little bit closer to his center. But that's what, the 4th turnover now, the 3rd there just on exchanges.
Larkin is shaken up, number 42. It was Gann that got on the ball. Again, in this second half, it's been all over the place. That sets it up now just outside the 35. Pinkett spinning around. He got a yard. Del Rio was there along with Biggers. It's like Tyler got some water and mud in his face. All kinds of problems playing down there.
We've seen the Notre Dame defense create turnovers and use the weather really as an advantage. The Southern Cal defense, USC has relied on them all year long, this defense, and they're going to have to do the same. They're going to have to bow their necks, get an extra man around the ball, tighten up their defense, and force a few fumbles as well.
The tradition, the rivalry, Notre Dame with the advantage, 16-7. Berline on the play action. And he elects to go out of bounds at the 30-yard line. He didn't pick up on anything on that play. Tommy Haynes up from his cornerback spot, knocked him out of bounds. Notre Dame flew out here, and Jerry Faust provided a packet for his team about this series to get them clued in to what's happened in all the years that these two teams have met. Right now, they've responded to it. Third down, 4. Smith, Pinkett in the backfield. Berline being chased. And he stumbled as he was getting ready to throw, and he goes down at the 29. Dwayne Pickett was over there. Howard was the receiver in the vicinity of the 10-yard line.
I tell you, if you're a quarterback and you have to get chased by somebody, you always hope it's kind of the nose guard. And here you can look at Tony Colorado. He is 6'5", he's 250 pounds. This is frustrating for a guy. He looks like he's carrying a piano on his back there. He's trying to get after Berline. And he does put enough of pressure on him. Berline felt him all the way and allowed him really not to pull up and throw the football. Nice play by Colorado.
And so a field goal attempt. Again, this will be another 45-yarder. Carney just hit one moments ago. He has the wind to his back. And he hit another one. Carney has hit 2 back-to-back 45-yard field goals, and the beleaguered Jerry Faust is pumped. He should be. His team's leading 19-7.
Gone through some very difficult times at Notre Dame.
Notre Dame, if they'd win, would be 7-4, headed to Hawaii. Not a bad place to be. I'm sure the weather's a little better there.
I hope so.
You promised me we'd always have good weather out here in Southern California.
Yeah, my wife's stuck at home with 4 kids in the house.
Carney, look at that ball. It just died. Didn't move. Just picked up. Elbert Watts will bring it out. He's out to the 25-yard line. Ryan Beamer made the stop. Well, at 6 o'clock Eastern, the bids will go out for the bowls. I don't think too many people will be surprised, but the Sun Bowl will announce that. That'll be on CBS. The Peach Bowl and the Cotton Bowl all coming up on CBS. And as we mentioned, BC has a better than average chance that they'll be there on New Year's Day.
The Southwest Conference picture's really been clouded today. The
Texas.
Surprising loss by Texas.
Baylor, Grant Taft's team, beating the Texas Longhorns. From the 22-yard line now, first down. Green giving to Crutcher, and he is pelted by Mike Griffin, number 94. And they're teeing off on him, and the problem now, Pat, is USC is not a good catch-up team.
You're absolutely right. They're down 19-7 now. There's still plenty of time where they can stay with their game plan, but as we saw last week against UCLA, they're not a great catch-up team. They're a 4- and 5-yard team and throwing high percentage passes. It's not a big play team.
That's the time left to the third quarter. 19-7, Notre Dame has kicked 2 45-yard field goals in the second half. Boba, Crutcher in the backfield. Second down and 9. Pressure by Gann, and it's caught by Boyer on the deflection, and that'll be a first down catch. Well, you need a break like that.
You're right. Sometimes you do need a little bit of luck.
12-yard pickup.
There was an awful lot of pressure on Tim Green from the defensive front from Notre Dame. He did actually throw this ball up for grabs, and I thought it was going to be intercepted. A play-action fake didn't really fool too many people. You see number 86, Boyer, there. Good pressure there by the front there. The ball is caught, a tip ball on Mike Boyer. Janik, number 58, makes the tip. Jumps up, tips it. Didn't knock it down, actually popped it up. An unlucky tip, really, for Notre Dame.
Pitch back to Crutcher to the short side of the field, and Crutcher splashes to the 40-yard line. Gann and Banks combine on the stop, a pickup of 5.
He made an interesting point running into the short side of the field. That's where the only solid turf is right now. It may make some sense for USC to run that pitch play again into the short side where they can have a little better footing.
Crutcher was 65 yards. He's had 4 100-yard days. Been brilliant at times. He had 146 yards against Stanford, 171 against Washington State. 2nd and 5 from the 40. Here's Kennedy Pola, and Pola, a power runner for the first down inside the 50 to the 48-yard line. Kovalevsky made the stop, 12-yard pickup.
It's not too often the USC fullback is such a major force. Today we have seen Kennedy Pola catch 3 passes, and we've seen him run the ball up the middle. And after you've run Fred Crutcher at tailback 5 or 6 times in a row, and the linebackers are concerned about Crutcher, boom, you give the ball to Kennedy Pola, he slips right back past your linebackers into the secondary.
Maybe being born in American Samoa, he's used to this kind of weather because he's been a good punter today.
That's what it's going to take. You can see the trouble that the defense and the offensive linemen are going to have as they try to maintain their blocks.
First down, just about to the 48 of Notre Dame. Green to Crutcher, and he is clotheslined by Wally Klein. Klein's played a very strong game for Notre Dame. Loss of 3.
USC once more trying to take advantage of the field there, though, Gary. Right over to the short side, but you mentioned it. Wally Klein has had a magnificent game here. He just charges right through, almost takes Fred Crutcher's head right off. This is an interesting change in the defensive philosophy by Notre Dame. They've been much more aggressive this year. In the past, they've kind of played a read kind of defense. This year, they've been more aggressive, and you can see them shooting gaps here and putting more pressure on the USC offensive linemen.
Klein came in here leading the Irish in tackles for loss with 9, and he just added another one. 7:28 to go, 3rd quarter. Green to throw. Broken up. Double team job that time. Hiawatha Francisco was there first. Hank Norman, the intended receiver. Also Pat Ballard. 3rd and 13 now. The next running back is Francisco.
You know, they changed him from running back because they didn't feel he got through the hole quickly enough. They felt he maybe danced in the hole a little bit too much, so they moved him to a defensive back, and he's made a very nice adjustment.
Felt he had too many wiggles back there for the running back spot, so they put him at safety, and he's done the job. Green, and broken up. Picked up by Wally Klein. He thought he had the interception, but I don't think so.
He's got a little mud in his eye, though, doesn't he?
Look at that.
That tells you the story right there. That's the kind of day it is as you look at Wally Klein. Good defensive pressure by the front 4 there of Notre Dame. They really have been in the second half in Tim Green's face. It's a 3rd and 13 situation. There you see Mike Griffin, the nose guard, actually jumped up and tipped the ball. Wally Klein tried to make the interception.
So a punt will come up now. Troy Richardson will punt from the 35-yard line. Howard and Cusack back for Notre Dame. Hits this one very well. He'll let it hit, and it makes it into the end zone. 51-yard punt by Troy Richardson. That's the best we've seen him do as far as distance is concerned. At the 20, Notre Dame will have it, leading 19-7. Through the years of this series, one of the best scoring performances was turned in by Johnny Latner, 24 points in 1953 as the Irish won it 48-14. But then Larry Conjar, a fullback for the Irish, tied it in 65. And then for USC, is it any surprise that Anthony Davis might figure in the scoring?
6 touchdowns that day in 1972.
How many do you have in the whole series? 11?
11. Some schools don't do that in a series.
That's right. They were introducing him here at halftime. He didn't run very fast in that field, did he? Notre Dame, even though they have scored 6 points in the second half, still don't have a first down. And Berline has one now. That was Barbaro, the tight end. McDonald knocked him out of bounds, a 17-yard pickup.
Steve Berline really has handled this weather so well. He has not had any exchange problems from the center, and when he's had an opportunity and the time to throw the ball, he's thrown it very well. There he finds his favorite receiver, Mark Bavaro, which takes him out of bad field position and puts the pressure now on USC defense. Here's the resting Notre Dame defense. Boy, they have done their job today, Gary.
This guy in particular, Klein and Gann, have played extremely well. There's a handoff to Pinkett. Pinkett has another first down. Jerome Tyler knocks him out of bounds. Pinkett just short of the 50-yard line. 11-yard pickup.
Well, it looks like Alan Pinkett at some point today is going to get those 100 yards. And Artie Gigantino, the USC defensive coordinator, felt that was the key to the football game. But right now, Notre Dame is winning the battle of the line of scrimmage, both offensively and defensively. We've seen the defensive front, in particular, control the USC line.
Thus far, 82 yards for Pinkett on 16 carries from the 49. This time, Smith, the fullback. He's into the USC, into the field. Colorado made the stop. Pickup on the play of 6. Second down and 4.
This is an impressive drive here by Notre Dame, too, particularly because they're using the clock. There's only 6 minutes, a little bit over 6 minutes left here in the third quarter. And remember, USC is not a great catch-up team. Notre Dame is controlling the ball, the clock, and putting points on the board.
And they're doing it with the wind to their back. Remember, Carney has kicked both of those field goals with the wind at his back. Alan Pinkett, tough sledding this time. He'll be short of the first down. Neil Hope, Dwayne Pickett combining on the stop. USC did not want to lose their last 2 regular season games and go into New Year's against Ohio State.
We talked about the offensive line of Notre Dame, how well they played. Right there in the middle, 63 is the center, Mike Kelly. He's on Colorado. That's a stand-up there. But watch some of the other offensive linemen. Mike Perino, number 76, makes a fine block. And actually, they're just holding that defensive line up and allows Alan Pinkett to use that great vision that he has to pick a hole.
This is a game where both teams have those mammoth offensive lines. Third down, a yard. Smith in motion. Here comes Pinkett. And Alan Pinkett will have to wait and see. Very difficult to spot any yard markers down there now. It's just water.
Well, this is a big third down play, too, and whether to make this first down is critical because we have seen how well that their kicker, John Carney, has kicked here today with the wind at his back. They can make the first down. They can move himself into position to kick another one.
It looks like it could be fourth down. Let's see. They're going to bring the sticks over to see if he did, in fact, make it. 5:06 left here in the third quarter. Is there a game here tomorrow in this Coliseum?
Well, the Raiders will be playing here tomorrow.
You believe the conditions they're going to have?
They're playing Indianapolis.
Oh. It's going to be fourth down.
Here's a look at Rex Moore, number 35, the freshman from USC.
Oh.
Now wait a minute. You see him put mud in his face there? I can understand why Berline's upset. That is uncalled for.
That was in Pinkett's face.
Yeah, that's not the way you're supposed to be playing.
Now Rex Moore, a freshman, will have 3 more years of this series. He better be careful. Punting now will be Vericola. They did not get the first down. Hit it very high. Fair catch is called for by Tommy Haynes. He's got it at the 17-yard line. 5 minutes left after a 25-yard punt. USC trails it. As an official, you have an added responsibility today, and that's to keep the old pigskin dry.
Pretty large responsibility today, isn't it?
It really is. USC has the ball, first down, at the 17-yard line. Kennedy Tola grinds it out to the 24. Joe Johnson, Robert Banks combine on the stop. It'll be second down and 3.
There's the USC defense there with Artie Gigantino, their defensive coordinator. They have to create some turnovers. Notre Dame's defense has done that, as well as the circumstances of the weather. But they're going to have to force the issue, as they have all year long. This defense has carried the Trojans into the Rose Bowl.
Second down, 3. 4 minutes, 28 seconds left in the third quarter. Green to Crutcher, and Crutcher's not going to get the first down. He is belted by Gann. Mike Gann and Wally Klein have, in the second half, dominated defensively. Going to bring up third down, and still, what, about a yard to go?
That's a good look at Mike Gann. The thing about Mike is that he can be out of position, but he's got tremendous speed for a big man and can really recover and make a play. The line play. In a game like this, with the weathers like this, you have two big physical teams. That's what's going to take. You're going to have to maintain your block as you watch James Fitzpatrick try to tie up the Notre Dame defender there and allow Crutcher to get to the outside.
We have a delay right now. Kennedy Pola is going off the field. This is a game-by-game occurrence. He's had so much trouble with his legs. He'll probably be back. He has cramps. He has 2 knees are operated on. Probably can't see. He's out right now, as it's now third down, a yard. Crutcher, the set running back, and Crutcher sloshing forward. He has the first down.
4:09 left here in the third quarter. It's important for USC to keep their defense off the field, to keep the pressure on Notre Dame's defense right now. Keep churning out some first downs. They don't necessarily have to make any big plays, but get some first downs, get something on the board here in the third quarter.
So the first down with 4:03 left in the third. They expected a crowd around 80,000 today, but don't think very many showed up.
Looks like it's an invitation-only affair.
Well, they didn't come dressed up for it. Here is Green. Being flushed out. And it's caught. Beautiful. Great job by Hank Norman coming back to the football. How he kept his footing, I don't know. 25-yard completion, and the Trojans are still alive.
You know, a lot of people compare Timmy Green to Joe Kapp because he's so fiery and emotional. He kind of threw a pass like Joe Kapp here today, as you watch him kind of scramble around a little bit, buy himself a little bit more time, but he can't get any stuff on the ball. You see a kind of a wounded duck, but Hank Norman has the presence to come back to the ball. And again, in situations like this, the offensive receiver always has the advantage. He knows where he's going. The defender is at the disadvantage. There's the result, the reception by Norman.
Norman with a strong game, a 25-yard completion to the 46 of Notre Dame. Green with some pressure in his face, overthrown. Trying to go up and come down with it was Joe Cormier, the tight end, and even though he's 6'6", he wasn't tall enough to come up with that.
You know, that ball would have been intercepted by Pat Ballage, number 40, had not Hiawatha Francisco, number 33, deflected it.
There's Ballage, along with Francisco. 7 sophomores starting defensively for Notre Dame. They're a young football team. And if they win this today and head on to the Aloha Bowl, this young football team will maybe have that springboard they've been looking for. They thought they had it after the Liberty Bowl. Started out 3-1, then lost 3 straight at home. Then they've won 3 in a row. Crutcher close to the first down. Inside the 40 to the 38. Eric Dorsey in there now. Number 71 made the tackle.
The USC offensive line is beginning to come to the forefront and actually control the line of scrimmage better than they have in the entire football game. And that's allowing Fred Crutcher to find a little running room. Earlier in this game, we have seen the defensive line of Notre Dame be able to come off blocks and make plays. But right there, the offensive line held their blocks, allowed Crutcher to pick up a big play, big yardage. 8
yards to be exact, Pat. Third down and 2.
It's not that big, I guess. 8 yards isn't.
Big in this weather. USC's got to get something out of this drive. 2 minutes, 24 seconds left in the third quarter. Pola, who's come back into the game. I told you he'd be back, didn't I?
You were absolutely right.
He is tough. Those Samoans are tough. They're strong, and they've got great pride. And He's back in again. That will move the sticks. Another first down.
The best offensive drive by Southern Cal yet today. The invitation-only crowd here, they're getting into it now.
Oh, they are really into it.
Well, I guess it makes no difference. When it's raining this hard, you might as well take off your shirt.
Well, it's a little chilly, though, isn't it? 2 minutes, 8 seconds left. Third quarter. First down just short of the 35. Green to Crutcher, and Crutcher gets 3 on the play. It'll be 2nd and 7. Tony Perjanik, number 58. Outstanding sophomore linebacker who's been out 5 games with a knee. Make that stop. He was a leading tackler last year as a freshman. Remember he and Kovalevsky starting as freshmen.
Call him kind of a typical Notre Dame linebacker. They liken him to what, Bob Crable?
Yep. 2nd down, 8. Griffin comes back in nose guard. Eric Dorsey will leave. And there's our guys staying with us up there, the Goodyear blimp.
They're dry up there at least, right?
Green. Complete to Boyer, and Ballage is there, but the pickup will go to the 30-yard line. They'll be 4 yards short of the first down. Green kind of had a funny motion on that pass.
Well, you do anything you can in this kind of weather. He did throw that one a little bit sidearm, but he got the ball to Mike Boyer. We're going to get a look at the motion by Tim Green. Pretty good protection. Did throw a little bit sidearm. You can't get much steam on the ball. It's just so heavy and it's so slick, and he's throwing high percentage passes.
It's going to be 3 yards short of the first down. 3rd down and 3. Just inside the 30-yard line. 40 seconds left in the third quarter. Now, remember, USC will have the wind to their back. That would be something to think about if they wanted to end up going for a field goal if this quarter ends before they have the attempt. Crutcher bobbles it. Notre Dame's got it.
There's a penalty
there
flag.
Is a penalty flag. Let's check that out. Dengens, number 92, got on it. Holding, so it will be Notre Dame's football.
Well, this is the 5th turnover by Southern Cal. Exactly what has happened against LSU when they lost and what happened against UCLA when they lost. The pitch was to Crutcher. The ball was right there. He did just bobble it, and then he just can't get on it. They were trying to run into the short side, into the boundary, where the conditions are a little bit better. But look how many white shirts are around the ball. Even if he had caught the pitch, I don't think he would have picked up the first down.
But more importantly, they lost a chance at least a field goal. And with 27 seconds, Notre Dame has it with a 19-7 lead. And Kennedy Pola, who was leading that team by example, have to wait for another opportunity. Mark checked that. Chris Smith, the fullback, out across the 40 to the 41. Tyler made the stop, a gain of 9.
Good look at Tony Perjanik and some of his friends on defense who created their 5th turnover. You know, USC's offensive team is just not quite good enough to overcome as many mistakes as they have today, and they did last week.
Well, that's going to be the end of our third quarter. It's been all Notre Dame with 2 field goals in this third quarter. We'll return after this commercial break and a word from your
hands with 28 seconds, and he marched his team down with only 5 seconds when he took the snap from center. And he's got a guardian angel on his shoulder or something, Gary. This ball was in the air 63 yards. He released it with 1 second on the clock. Gerard Phelan, number 20, had gotten behind the prevent defense of Miami. And I'll tell you what, there was some celebration down in Miami last night.
Doug Flutie pulling it out, and what a career he's had, and he'll be in the Cotton Bowl, and of course that'll be broadcast here on CBS. That looks like World War III. Look at that. Fourth quarter, 2nd down, 1 yard to go for Notre Dame. Chris Smith going for the first down. Let's go now to New York, and let's kind of untangle what's going to happen as far as the champion of the Southwest Conference is concerned.
All right, Gary, we'll try. It's a 4-way tie at the top now, the Southwest Conference. Arkansas, Houston, SMU, Texas. Here's why. Texas upended by Baylor today, 24-10. TCU is out of the race, 35-21. The Aggies upset them. Houston beat Texas Tech 24-17. So the Arkansas-SMU game tonight takes on some importance. Let's go back to you.
Boy, Ken Hatfield has done a great job in his first year at Arkansas. They're still in that bowl picture.
Well, he did a nice job at Air Force, too, didn't he?
Didn't he? That was a first down run by Smith. Burline giving to Pinkett, and he's drilled backwards. Very aggressive play that time by Rex Moore. Moore is fired up. A while ago, he did something that he wished had not been put on camera,
right.
but he is fired up. His brother played at Stanford. He was a fullback out of Orange, California.
I think his mother saw him put that mud in Pinkett's face.
If she didn't, she'll hear about it. Second down, 10. No gain on that play. They had 66,342 tickets sold for this game. 51,014 showed up early. And now you guess how many are still here.
Most of them left early, too.
Can't blame them, can you? Pinkett looking for some running room. And he's to the 45, a gain of 2. Colorado and Pickett making the tackle.
Sets up a 3rd and long situation for Notre Dame's offense. Again, one more time, the USC defense is going to have to find a way to stop Steve Burline, who's actually thrown the ball pretty well today, and give Tim Green and the offense an opportunity to get down and score some points.
Burline, who's from the Anaheim area, played at Servite High School. Coming back here, and of course, very important game for him. And I bet he didn't figure he'd come back in the Coliseum and play under these kind of weather conditions.
Well, I tell you, not only has he played well today, as he plays almost in a fog, he's played well this entire year, much better than he did as a freshman.
Pinkett again on the 3rd down and 8, and got 3, and that's all. They're going to have to punt the football. Rex Moore there again to make the stop. You know, it's interesting, Burline, Pat, he's wearing number 7. That's the number that, of course, Joe Theismann wore. And what they do at Notre Dame, every time they give an incoming freshman a jersey, they also give them a card showing them the players that have worn that number preceding that.
You know, I hadn't heard it. That is a great story, and I guess it puts a little pressure on the guys as well, but kind of with the tradition you have at Notre Dame, it's kind of fun. I'd like to see some other schools do that as well.
Telling Ted Tollner that story, he says, that's a great idea. I ought to do that too, because USC has that same lineage, that same legacy. They're coming after Viracola, and they almost got it. They may have gotten a piece of it.
They got him.
Yes, they did. We're going to have a roughing the kicker. I couldn't see the flag. There's so much water down there. I think it was this guy, Rex Moore, that roughed him.
Here's Viracola. Southern Cal is trying to do anything they can to create a turnover or a big play. He runs right into Viracola. The official's right there. Rex Moore, number 35. The official has a little difficulty, as you mentioned, getting the flag out of his pocket, but he's there to make the call. Had he touched the ball and blocked it at all, it would not have been a roughing the punter penalty, but he didn't.
Has not been a good day for this guy. And so it will give them the first down.
Roughing the kicker. Defense. First down.
And so instead of having the football, USC still out there defensively. 12-12 left in the game. Remember now, Notre Dame trying to win for the first time in 18 years here in the Coliseum. They'd win, it'd be 2 in a row after winning last year in South Bend. They don't need the green jerseys today, do they? Burline. And that's deflected. Is Steve Davis still there? He may have deserted like the rest of the fans.
Oh, it is really bad down here, Gary. This is Father Reilly. He's the chaplain of the Notre Dame football team, and he's been around since 1966 in that capacity. Father Reilly, how has Jerry taken all the pressure? He's been under a lot of pressure. How's he responded to it all?
I think he's responding very well, Steve. He seems to be handling it good without any... oh, I'm sure it bothers him. There's no question about it, because he doesn't like to lose. He's a competitor. But I think he really has kind of looked at it. He says, I'm going to do the very best I possibly can and hope that the team will do that, and then we'll see what happens. And I think that's the only way you can look at it.
A win's going to help a lot. Let's go back upstairs. That's right.
Thank you, Steve. As Pinkett on a 2nd down 10 picks up 2. Moore on the stop along with Del Rio. Well, that will relieve some pressure if the Irish hang on to this. And we talked to Faust. He says, I will never quit. I feel very strongly about this football team. He talked it over with his family. Of course, that decision may not even come up now, the game like they're playing today.
On the other hand, the other side of the coin, the pressure is back on Ted Tollner a little bit.
Yep.
Sometimes you can forget what a successful year that he has had. He won 7 conference games in a row. but he hasn't beaten his two arch rivals since he's been at Southern Cal, and that's Notre Dame and UCLA.
Jerry Faust said, I'm not going to quit and let somebody else come in and inherit this football team and take over, pick up where I've left off. Here's Berline, and he is in trouble. Gets rid of it, and it's incomplete, and I don't believe that Rex Moore saw the football. It was headed towards him. Chris Smith, the intended receiver. Berline just averted a long loss. So on 4th down, Viricola will punt again. And this guy, Haynes, will go back. We haven't seen Darrell Hopper since the start of the game, who usually fields the punts. He was hurt in that first series.
Viricola, in these kind of situations, every punter has to be concerned because you know the other team is thinking about a block.
However, this time USC doesn't have anybody up there. They usually get 10 men up. They're not even really putting that much pressure on, and he shanks that one off the side of his foot, and it's going to be marked at the 17-yard line. USC has it, a 19-yard punt. Against UCLA today, they have come back, and I thought the biggest improvement has been Tim Green, and Green now at 11:07 has got to put it together.
What USC has to do here now they're still in the ball game because there's still plenty of time, 11 minutes left in the 4th quarter. They've got Ryan Knight in, who is their fastest tailback and their big play guy, but they have not gotten the ball much to Timmy Ware, their fastest receiver, number 19. Perhaps a couple of short passes to Ware, let him try to break some tackles and make a big play out of it.
Well, stay with us. Let's see if Green and company can pull this one out somehow. He's going deep. Norman is there. And double coverage at the 35, Ballage and Francisco, and Norman wanted some help. And Green is upset, and I don't know who he's upset at, but he is upset.
I believe he's probably upset at one of the officials. There you see number 79, Jeff Riegel, trying to settle him down. Here's 83, Hank Norman. He's got a height advantage on most defensive backs. He is 6'4". The ball is pretty well thrown under the circumstances, but good defense there by the secondary. It was not interference. Did not knock him before the ball was there. And the reaction of Tim Green, the emotional leader of Southern Cal, he's just trying out there to make something to happen, trying to get a little help from the officials.
All the games that we've seen him play, I think this is still his strongest game. Here comes Ryan Knight. Knight out to the 25-yard line. It'll be a gain of 5 on the play. Ryan Knight has that ability to make the big play, the cutback. Excellent against the grain.
And that's what they're going to need here to get back in this game. Ryan Knight to break a big play or to get the ball to Timmy Ware, number 19, who has not caught a pass yet today. Remember the exchange problems early in the game between Timmy Green and the center? There you saw Tim Green actually stay underneath the center a little bit longer so he can secure the snap from Cox and then get the ball to Knight.
3rd down and 5 now for the Trojans. The wind to their back. You know, I don't think it's raining quite as hard. It's lightened up a little bit. Cormier comes in motion. Green has Cormier, but it's behind him. Joe Johnson, 27, defending on the play. And that's going to bring up a 4th down.
Joe Cormier, number 85, he's coming in motion right at you. Now, was open for the 1st down, but Timmy Green threw the ball a little bit behind him. And under these weather conditions, you can't really make the adjustment. Cormier at number 85 is trying to turn back in and make the catch, but it was difficult to get his footing.
Richardson will punt from the 10-yard line. 2 men back, Pat Cusick and Joe Howard for the Fighting Irish at the 10-16 mark. 19-7. Notre Dame with the lead. Last time, Richardson had an excellent punt, and he hits this one a little bit wobbly. And it's going to be blown dead. Now, where's it going to go out of bounds?
The 45, the USC 45, I believe.
That will be a 21-yard punt. And so the USC defense has got to get the turnover at the 10:09 this season for USC. They lost to LSU. That was after a big win earlier in the year against Arizona State. Then they lost to UCLA after the big win against Washington. But it's been the turnovers. If they lose this one today, all 3 of those games, they've had 5 turnovers.
It's been the opposition, too, has been opportunistic. They've turned those turnovers into points.
Notre Dame has the football now at the 50-yard line. 10:09 left in this game. Here's Pickett, and there's the defense. In particular, Brian Luff, number 90. Del Rio, number 52. No gain on the play.
it really might have been advantage for Notre Dame to have played in some bad weather this year. We've talked about that. Steve Davis mentioned they played in, what, 6 or 7 games in bad weather, but you haven't seen any of the exchange problems between center and quarterback and between quarterback and halfback that has plagued USC today.
The second down 11. They actually lost a yard on that play. Ono has now come in for USC, the Dick Butkus lookalike. He wears the crew cut. He is number 56 for USC, that inside linebacking spot. They give him a bad time about that. Erline taking a lot of time. Pitches to Pinkett, and Pinkett across the 45. A gain of 2, and the man we just talked about, Ono, 56, is over there to make the tackle. Going to be third down coming up. Ono also snaps. He is the sophomore out of Santa Monica.
Let's take a look at number 52, Jack Del Rio. He's at the top of the screen. They're going to run right at him. Number 82, Bavaro, kind of knocks him out and creates the lane there for Pinkett, but Bavaro did a nice job on Del Rio, knocked him out, and just allowed Pinkett to run inside the block.
Jerome Tyler now is helped off. There's the Lombardi finalists, and of course Del Rio is one of those. The refrigerator, William Perry, is in there. Bill Freilich and Tony DeGrate. Well, just can't get over Texas getting beat today. Junior Thurman now has come in replacing Tyler, who is help from the field. Third down and 3. They need a stop, and they got it. That's Luft again, playing a strong game. It brings up fourth down.
Well, the USC defense has done their job. Now it's up to Tim Green and his offense, and really to get something going here with 8:33 left in the fourth.
Luft, we mentioned at the top of this broadcast, is playing his best football. He's a senior out of Fresno. Baracola back to punt.
He's got a 10-man rush looking at him here again.
8:15 as Baracola steps back at his own 40-yard line. That snap that bounced once, but he fields it well. And that ball is going to roll inside the 20, just inside the 20. And so Tim Green, after that 25-yard punt, has 8 minutes to pull this one out. The Irish leading Pat Hayden, 8 minutes left. Notre Dame with a 19-7 lead. Irish at halftime led 13-7. And Pat, I'm wondering, those teams you had yesterday, Miami and BC, they had so much offense, but you wonder if they could have done that in this kind of condition.
Or if this game had been played yesterday, perhaps. It might have been a different ball game at this point. USC is very much in position to win. But here again, we've mentioned Timmy Ware, number 19. I mean, he is their big play receiver for Southern Cal. He has yet to catch a pass today.
From the 20, he is split out at the bottom of the screen. Screen with 8 minutes to work. And there's the man you just talked about. Ware sliding, trying somehow to come up with it. Joe Johnson defending on the play. Ware has been the big play guy. He's a track man. He's run the 100-yard dash in 9.7.
And USC realizes they have to get the ball to Timmy Ware, and they're trying to. He has his man beaten, but the ball was thrown low by Tim Green. If he could have caught that ball in between a seam and then dodged Francisco, number 33, he might have seen 6 points.
But that seems to be the plan of action right now, to get 19 deep. On a second down, Ryan Knight. And Ryan Knight gets a gain of 4, coming out to the 24-yard line. Tony Furjanic making the stop. They had talked about, had Green not played well early in this game, they might go to Kevin McLean, a sophomore, who figures very prominently next year in their quarterback plans. In fact, USC has Sean Salisbury back. They have Rodney Peake, a freshman who they've redshirted, and also McLean next year. So they're going to have some intense competition for that spot.
They get Ryan Knight, the man we're watching run the ball today, who has the capability of going the distance, so he's going to add some excitement to the offense.
Third down now, 6 yards to go. They need a completion, and Green's going to scramble. He's got the first down. He's across the 40 to the 45 to the 46. Mike Haywood made the stop, and Green just went 22 yards. He hasn't given up.
You're absolutely right. Timmy Green is going to try to beat you any way he can, and he's thrown the ball very well today, and now he's going to find an open lane. He knows precisely what it's going to take to bring his team back. He knows where the first down marker is, and to show you the kind of guy he is, he's again trying to run over defenders even after he knew he had the first down. Tim Green, he is quite a competitor.
They list him at 6'1". That might be pushing it a little bit. He's closer to 6. What is it about USC quarterbacks? They always give you a misread on the height.
No, you know, Green said he was taller than I, and I kind of resent that. I'm not so sure he is.
The 22-yard gain sets it up at the 47. 6:40 left in the game. Green over the top. Kennedy Pola again, and the Bruiser has another first down at the 37, and now they're starting to have something happen. 16-yard pickup.
Well, you're right, but every time USC has had started something, they've turned the ball over, but here they cannot afford any more turnovers. Another look at Kennedy Pola as he catches his 5th pass here today. Again, they went downfield a couple times deep, and then they let the linebackers drop deep and dump the ball over to Kennedy Pola. I tell you, he's a dangerous man after he catches the ball, isn't he?
He is something to tackle. That is his 4th catch of the game for 48 yards. First down, 6:23. All 3 timeouts left for USC. Green. And almost caught Cormier trying to make the diving catch at the 25-yard line. All right, let's check some scores now. BYU finishes unbeaten. The Holiday Bowl coming up for them. Oh, Oklahoma, that's in the snake pit of Norman, leading the Cowboys of Oklahoma State, and Baylor upsetting Texas. And South Carolina won in Death Valley. We've been there, Pat. You know how tough that is. Remember this one?
Well, I'll always remember that one.
And A&M has beaten TCU.
Another surprise in the Southwest Conference.
Well, that'll help Jackie Sherrill's situation. A lot of pressure on him. Here is Green, and it's almost intercepted by Ballage. Pat Ballage had it for a moment. Hank Norman was the intended receiver. Bobby Ross and the Maryland Terrapins had an exciting year, and they just won the ACC title today, defeating Virginia 45-34. And that is the matchup from the Sun Bowl, Tennessee, Maryland. And Virginia will go to the Peach Bowl as George Welch has done an outstanding job for the Cavaliers against Jim Everett and the Purdue Boilermakers. 2 excellent matchups. 3rd down now and 10. And we've got the stoppage of the clock. All kinds of mix-ups. I cannot spot the flags anymore. They disappear in the water out there.
Timmy Green went right up to the official and began to argue with him.
Illegal procedure. He's going to lose that argument.
Most times you do when you argue with the officials.
Tim Green, he set everything off last week by telling UCLA what he was going to do.
Dead ball, illegal procedure, offense, still 3rd down.
And with 6 minutes, 1 second left, that's how much time is between Notre Dame and their first win here in the Coliseum since 1966.
USC needs 2 touchdowns, so a field goal in any situation here is not going to do them any good.
On a 3rd and 15, Green trying to keep this going. He's going to try to run it. And nothing going to happen. The ball is loose. Down on the field is Berjanik, but I believe Green may have gotten it back. Boy, that's a scrapping guy, number 11. And he's discussing it with Notre Dame. I don't think I ever saw you do that, discuss things with the opposing team like that.
You're absolutely right. They were much larger than I.
It's 4th and 21.
Here's another look at the end of the play by Tim Green, a gutsy quarterback. Looks like he almost had his face mask grabbed there. The ball comes loose. And the Trojans did end up recovering, but they're forced to punt the football right back to Notre Dame.
And so Richardson will do that as Howard and Cusack go back 5-11. They need a break. The Trojans do. That ball is going to splice down to the 9, and that's as far as it goes right there. Notre Dame has it. 5:01 left. The Irish with a 19-7 lead. A 19-7 lead. Should say Notre Dame with a 19-7 lead. And inside the 10, they pick up a yard.
Up to the defense again, and here's what the defense has to do is not only surround the ball carrier, but once the extra defenders get there, strip the ball. They have to come up and try to force the turnover, as the Notre Dame defense has today. As you look at the Notre Dame defense, boy, they have been absolutely outstanding.
Pinkett, by the way, has 94 yards, so he's approaching another 100-yard day. If he would get that, it'd be 5 in a row. Pinkett will be back. Erline will be back. That defense, as we mentioned, has most of their people back next year. Here is Chris Smith. Smith out across the 10 to the 12-yard line. Neil Hope made the stop. And with 4:11, Notre Dame is in no hurry right now. Well, we checked some of the scores and a couple of the upsets in the Southwest Conference. Houston, Bill Yeoman's had a good year for the Cougars, and North Carolina defeated Duke. Kentucky over Tennessee. Mississippi State, that's always a war down there in Ole Miss. And Pitt has salvaged a very disappointing year. Boge Fazio has had a long season. That's got to salve some wounds. On a 3rd down, Luff comes storming through on Chris Smith, the fullback. And we have another penalty flag.
I want to tell you, the SC defense still believes they're in this football game. They're going to do everything they can to show that. Watch Chris Smith, a hit that he is going to take right there. There's just nowhere to go. And that's the kind of defense they've played. It's been the offensive turnovers that have really been the story.
Luff has played well, Pat. He's played all day like this. There he is.
Had a big sack on Berline earlier in the game.
That's what the coaches are saying, that he'd put his best football together down the stretch.
Now here we have seen USC come close to blocking punts by Notre Dame. Remember the bad snap last time they tried to punt too, Gary?
Dead ball. Personal foul. Offense. 4th down.
Yet another personal foul, and now Viracola is going to have to back as far as he can in that end zone to punt it out of there. On a 4th down.
Looks like a 10-man rush again.
Tommy Haynes is back, but he's hoping the ball doesn't get that far. A block here with 3:19. They're letting the clock run. They're taking their time. And the rush, he just got it underway, and that ball just dead stops right there.
Right into the beach. Yes.
That's right. Brian Luff almost blocked that. It was a 29-yard punt. And with 3:04, USC's got it. Next Saturday, Army-Navy from Veterans Stadium. And these two teams have had some very, very good games this year. It'll be the best probably since the days of Roger Staubach.
A lot of offense next week, yeah.
Yes. And then basketball, the Sooners of Oklahoma and Illinois. And Illinois is right now being picked number 2 in the nation by most of the preseason polls. Georgetown number 1. The ball, Green never saw it. It came out of there. He turned around, couldn't locate it. USC recovered it.
That's the 4th bad exchange between Tom Cox and Tim Green. Now, isn't it interesting, because Notre Dame took all the criticism early in the year for bad exchanges between the quarterback and center. Another look at Tim Green. The ball is just so sloppy now, went right through his legs. It never touched Tim Green's hands, and then he's just trying to find it. But one of the offensive men there, Tom Cox, who knew the ball was fumbled, he recovered the ball.
Loss on the play. 2nd down, 14. Holder, the only running back. Green. Mike Gann giving chase, and he kind of shot puts that one to Kennedy Pola.
Exactly what he did. He did shot put it.
Ron Weisenhofer over to make the stop, number 36 for Notre Dame. So with 2:18, let's check some other scores. Ooh, Louisiana Tech in the Division I AA playoffs. They scored some points. Middle Tennessee over Eastern Kentucky. And the Terriers of Boston losing to Richmond 35-33. The Moccasins of Tennessee Chattanooga losing to Arkansas State.
I am impressed. I really am.
Okay, we have a timeout called by USC. 2:18 left, 19 seconds left. We want to thank the crew who have really battled some less than ideal conditions, and in particular the Goodyear blimp and our Captain Dick Esch, along with his cameraman Ken Wu. Those guys have been up there. There's been times I'm not sure they could see the field from where they are. 2:18 left in the game. 3rd down and 3. USC had used a timeout. Ryan Knight trying to get the first down. He's close to it. Pat, we want to also take this opportunity to give a get well greeting to CBS maintenance man John Hawthorne, who was injured this morning getting ready for this broadcast. He broke his wrist. Just hope he'll be back, and we know he's watching the game today. Ted Tollner still hanging in there with 1:59. Let's see, it's going to be 4th down and still a yard to go.
Jimmy Green's learned a few things today. He's bounced back from a bad game last week against UCLA. Been a competitor and fought all day long.
Well, they're not going to have that momentum going into the game against Ohio State, but they do have Tim Green back to where they wanted him, where he was in that Washington game. He's recaptured some of that stability that they wanted so badly. What's Faust upset here about? You may have thought that, I don't know, it's going to be short of the first down. It's 4th down.
If you believe in miracles, and we saw one last night with Doug Flutie, USC needs to make this first down, and they get the ball in the end zone. It's easy to do. See, then they kick an onside kick, Gary. Then they throw it long pass for another touchdown.
Nothing to it.
Nothing to it.
Nothing to it. We've talked about pressure. Jerry Faust has had it. Boj Fazio's had it. He won today.
Boj Fazio did. So did
Ray
Jackie
Perkins
Sherrill.
At Alabama, Jackie Sherrill. Some of the coaches getting some relief today in this final game, and there's a mishandled snap again. Notre Dame's got it. Well, there goes your whole scenario to win this game, Pat.
Well, the difference today has been the ability of Steve Berline to handle snaps from center, and in the opposition, Tim Green not being able to do that.
What is that, 6 turnovers?
6 turnovers, and I think this is the 5th exchange problem between Tom Cox and Tim Green. One more look at the exchange problem. Just never quite got his hands on it. Tries his best to get back to it on a 4th down. There's Notre Dame to make their 6th turnover recovery.
Robert Banks, 56, who came up with it.
They've had 6 turnovers.
Oh, they're not going to record that as a turnover, Pat, because it was a 4th down.
Aha. So it was just 5.
Here is Pinkett. Alan Pinkett coming close to 100 yards now. He may get it yet before this day is over. That was hope on the stop, but now some pushing and shoving going on. And I would think that you had a short fuse this kind of day, weather-wise, would make it even shorter.
No, the USC defense has been a little bit frustrated. They came in wanting to shut Alan Pinkett down. He did almost get his 100 yards. He has 98 yards right now.
That last carry gave him 98. He's carried the ball 27 times. 1:26 left in this game. 2nd down, 6. Hope that's a waterproof watch. So it's going to bring up with now the clock running, 1:10 left on a 2nd down. Here's the fullback, Mark Brooks, who played for Jerry Faust at Moeller High School in Cincinnati. Again, some shoving. Notre Dame to win here for the first time since 1966. They'll be 7-4. They're going to head west. Just keep flying over the Pacific Ocean into the island of Hawaii, Oahu, and they're going to get to play in the Aloha Bowl.
Very excited young men, and Jerry Faust has to be very, very happy with this team. He's battled an awful lot of pressure this year.
It'll be 4 in a row.
After that very tough start he had, being 3-4. Perhaps these seniors have had that positive notch in history that Jerry Faust wanted so much for this team to have.
He said he wanted to show what these kids are made of. He said that improve outside what we believe inside. This is a team of character. And they're starting to celebrate. What a win for Coach Faust and Notre Dame. Notre Dame will have the first down at the 40. First down run by Brooks. Timeout is called by USC. Tim Green, well, he's got to get ready for January 1st. These guys for the alone. Bryan with 5 solos, Gann with 7 solos. And for USC, Brian Luff, he had 5 tackles for losses and 8 solos. So the defensive guys on a wet, soggy day are the MVPs, and $1,000 to be donated to the General Scholarship Fund of both schools. Time running down. The Irish are going to win it. It's been 18 years, and Jerry Faust and the Irish have beaten history.
Delighted Jerry Faust, who has all the momentum going with Omaha Bowl. Ted Toner has to get his group together for the Rose Bowl and get some of that momentum started that he was so concerned about at the top of the day.
And a tough, tough assignment against Ohio State. And so the Irish, who came out here early Wednesday so they can enjoy the good weather. They did have good weather, of course, until today. Now, Steve Davis is on the sideline, and let's join him. Steve?
Hey, boo-boo! It's Jerry Faust on the field. November's not been very pleasant, but it was great today.
Well, we had a good last 3 games. We played very well. We got healthy the last 4 games of the season. We had almost our whole team out here today. I'm really happy for the kids. They've worked hard. They got a lot of character. They got a lot of desire. They had a lot of adversity in the middle of the year there. They hung together as a team, and they played well. And anybody can play in sunny California like this, I'll tell you, I'm really proud of them. And this team will go down. Their first team in 18 years that's won out here, and they deserve it because they're a great group of young men.
After you beat LSU, you said that was the turnaround of the season. Was that what's happened?
Well, as soon as we got out, yeah, those kids really hung in there that week. We played well against South Carolina and had some bad bounces, and the kids came back down there in that heat and everything, and just did a heck of a job, and I'm proud of them. I'm really proud of them.
Jerry, this is the back page of your little brochure you gave him. He said, this team can be remembered. Let's go upstairs.
Thank you.
19-7. The Irish have won it. It was Pinkett with 98 yards. Carney with 2 45-yard field goals and the 5 turnovers by USC. We want to thank the people who have been so very, very effective today on less than ideal conditions. Kevin O'Malley, our executive producer. Rick Lasavita, our producer. Joe Assetti, the QB, is our director. Scott Johnson, our associate director. Robert Matina, Mike Swanson, our statistician, our spotter, Steve Baer. As the Irish, after 18 long years, have done it, they have defeated USC here in the Los Angeles Coliseum, and they are headed on to the Aloha Bowl. And on the other hand, Neil Hope and the Trojans will have a date New Year's Day against Ohio State. For Pat Hayden, I'm Gary Bender. And now let's go to New York and join Pat O'Brien.
The following feature